Yo, what's up, Big Mac Mo? How you doing, bro? Welcome to the show. Always great to have you here, bro. What? Yeah, Mo, I just downloaded MLB and I haven't played it yet. Shout out to you, Mitchie Dies a Lot. Welcome to the show, bro. Got 4 minutes, well, 5 minutes for you guys on the stream. Shout out to Dr. Sarakas. Shout out to you for being here. We're still waiting for Slow Mo to show up. He is dealing with a little Discord issue, so he will be here momentarily. But we have a special guest with us that we're gonna, talk about when we go live. It's someone that's near and dear to my heart, literally, and it's gonna be a great time. So can't wait to share this with y'all. Is that Slow Mo? Slow Mo's here, y'all. On, guys, it is your boy Forte, and welcome to, I think this is episode 127. Yo, shut up. I already know. I like to lead. I like to lead into stuff like this. Okay, whatever. Okay, what? I appreciate that, sir. Well, welcome to episode 127 of the Damage Per Second podcast, DPS for short. Yeah, it's Thursday. It's going to be a great show. As you can see, the topic list is long because a lot of crap happened this week, and it's so pause. But yeah, I definitely want to get into the show because I'm not trying to be here all night because we're trying to go play games, but we love you guys and we got to make sure we keep this show going. So I want to introduce the man, the myth, the man of many legends, the man of many slaps, the man that still hasn't made a video on YouTube, and he's been making it for like 4 weeks now. Slow-mo backslap. What's going on with you, sir? Which part? The part that's true? Oh, that part. Oh, good. They can hear you now. Good that you ain't
So
saying nothing yet.
I was actually speaking.
Good.
So.
Well, good. They didn't hear that crap you were just saying about I'm offended.
Oh, the crap about how you told me to shut up because I told you which episode it was
Yeah,
that you should
they
have
ain't need to
known
hear
ahead of
they ain't
time,
need to hear that
or
either.
about the other part about how I was
No.
offended by my intro, or all that. They didn't need to hear
That's
any of
good.
that,
They ain't need to hear that.
but they just heard it. So anyway, no, so no, look, man, it's been a rough week. Okay. And it'll hopefully will work. It'll get a little bit better now that I got one major project kind of like completed, so I don't have to worry about it anymore, which is great. I was up till like 4 a.m. with work, and I spent most of the day today sleep. So I think I probably officially woke up at like 5 o'clock today, which some people would be like, "Oh man, I wish I could stay to sleep to 5." But do you want to stay up, to 4 in the morning, dealing with programs that don't work and troubleshooting and stuff? I don't think so, but it is what it is anyway. I'm ready to get into these topics because it seems like today I missed a lot today. Like I woke up and then it's just like E3's canceled and all kinds of stuff, and PSVR 2 ain't selling, and people
well.
upset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy out here, man. But moving on to our amazing guest. First time guest. He can take his shoes off. He's officially indoctrinated into the show. He's always welcome here going forward. The man, K Live, my little brother, and I mean little brother in real life. The man that has grown up with me and dealt with me more than Slow-Mo has dealt with me, which is kind of crazy. And we haven't killed each other yet. But K Live, homie, my little brother, how you doing? Welcome to the show. You've been asking to get on here for like over a year now, and you have finally made it. What is up, sir?
Man, I feel like I got the magic key. Like you said, man, what? So the brotherly discount can't get on the show. It took me like 30 requests, but no, I am good. I'm excited to be here and just listen in and add as much as I can if it makes sense. But I'm just excited to be live with you guys. I'm on a DPS podcast, y'all. Can y'all believe this? Let's go. Hey, listen. Hey, listen. If this podcast ever breaks 2,000 concurrent viewers, I'll tell y'all some embarrassing. Can I cuss on this?
We tried not to do.
Oh god dang! It's PG. Okay, I got it. So I will tell y'all some PG rated stories with R rated undertone stories about not a kill. Oh. So just know that. But I'm excited.
Not a kill. You mean nautical or not a kill? You said not a kill, right?
Jesus Christ.
Is that like a Halo reference or something? Not a kill.
I never put it together like that. But we're talking about gamer tags. For those who don't know, my name is Keith. So it's K Live, not K Live, and it stands for Keith living in victory eternally. It sounded better when I was like 17. It don't hit as hard when you 39 and 40.
Right.
I forgot that. I was so used to just saying K Live that I literally forgot that it literally did me. Keep living
in victory
internally. Yeah. We gotta admit that. Oh my god. Hey man, listen, that's the one thing. Some people out here got gamer tags that make no sense and they have no meaning to them. And that's the one thing I've always been proud of, that my gamer tag had meaning to it, just like yours does. And Slow-Mo, maybe one day we'll share his story on his gamer tag again, because it's still funny every time I hear it from him.
It is. Oh, can I do one more intro? Like, okay, so since my first time on the show, so I like long walks on the beach. I play first-person shooters. I'm primarily a PC gamer. I dabble in RPGs. Favorite game of all time is Mass Effect 2. When I want to have some fun, I play Halo. Just hop on some Master Chief, Collector's Edition and play some whatever. But primarily first-person shooter and primarily PC gamer.
Did you notice that he didn't say Halo Infinite? He said Master Chief Collection.
Correct.
He's part of the problem.
Oh, Jesus. Well, see, the thing is, guys my age are still playing that. If I get on the new stuff, these kids with like 2.9 second latency reflexes, like, kill me if I know what happened.
Well, I mean, look, I'm hanging in there. I'm on Halo Infinite. You know, I'm not getting washed or anything. You know, the reflexes have not dulled yet. Yet, you know, it could happen any day, but it ain't happened yet. So I'm gonna keep bodying fools. You know how it is.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, bro, Keith, K Live, Mr. Internally Living. I love you, and I'm happy that you're here. But man, let's just let's just get into this first topic, man. Um, and this goes down to the PC. So K-Live, you can, even if you don't know about this conversation about what's going on with Naughty Dog, and not Naughty Dog in general, but with their one of their fable games, The Last of Us, you could just speak about PC ports in general, because you know you've been trying to get me to play on PC for like ever. And as of recently, you know, Last of Us Part 1 did release on the PC. I actually forgot that it was coming out, and it came out yesterday. And oh boy, it's bad out here. I'm going to put shout out. I got in the description of this video. There is a link to the gentleman that actually did this breakdown of this video, and I thought it was hilarious. So I am actually going to share what he had to say, not say, but show his video about the stuff that he saw inside of the game with Last of Us. But let's be for real, man. This is a broken build. Shout out to Iron Galaxy, and shout out to Nixus for not being available to help them with this. But Slow-Mo, being a PC connoisseur, how does it make you feel? Did you actually buy this game, Slow-Mo, by the way?
Not yet. No,
Oh,
I'm
thank God.
the only way you can get me to not buy a game that I want is for it to come out busted like this game is. How about taking over an hour to compile shaders? How about crashing 18 times in 40 minutes or something like that from what I saw? And I was just like, nah, I'm good, bro. Like, go ahead and fix that. Then I'll jump on it. I'm not messing with it right now. I refuse. And it's just like I think part of the problem that's going on right now with PC is DX12 and the developers' inability to know how to develop on DX12, because I saw that they used Naughty Dog and Iron Galaxy. They has used DX11 with a DX12 wrapper, and what that means is essentially the game's running on DX11, and then it's kind of being emulated DX12. It's even recommended by Microsoft not to do this. It's recommended. They say do not do this to your game. Don't do it. And developers are doing it anyway. Like, why after? Because Iron Galaxy did Arkham Knight. After Arkham Knight, how could anyone ever work with them on anything? Now, it almost kind of seems like when I saw this yesterday, like there was some confusion, where it was like we didn't know if Iron Galaxy did it or Naughty Dog did it, or Iron Galaxy just helped Naughty Dog. But it reminds me of like that Spider-Man meme where Spider-Man's like pointing at himself, where it's like nobody wants to take blame for this. Like when it's a great game, everybody wants to get their credit. Hey, you know, we did the shadows in that game. Give us credit. You know, they outsourced the facial expressions to us. We want credit. Ain't nobody want credit for this. Everybody like, well, you know, that was all Naughty Dog. We didn't do anything here. Oh hey, ooh yeah. So Iron Galaxy helped us out with this, and so if you have any questions, go ask them. It's just like nobody wants to accept any blame here, and it's happening far too often. We know what the issues are. We know why it's happening, but it's just like, ew, yo, his daughter looked like an old woman. What is happening? Yo, that is just hideous.
You see that?
That is hideous. Good grief. Like, it's...
And that's with a 3070 Ti that he's using in this video.
Yeah, see, it's not about the graphics card. It is literally the development of the game on the API that they're using. And it's look, this is like another game that was DX11 on be emulating to DX12. the Witcher 3 remaster, not remaster, but like the update to Witcher 3 on for visuals. We saw how busted that was at launch. Final Fantasy 7 remake. We saw how busted that was at launch. People figured a way to just turn off the DX12 and just play it in DX11, and it was fine. It didn't have anything like cool like DLSS or ray tracing or anything like that, but it played flawlessly. And it's just why they keep releasing these games like this makes no sense to me. Like it makes no sense. You know your game ain't ready. This was actually supposed to come out early March, I remember.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out earlier. And
then they delayed it to late March. And it's like just delayed April. What are you doing? Just delay to April. Like why? Because this is going to happen, right? 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a huge pack. It's going to be like 30 gigs or something like that.
The rest of the game.
Yeah, and it's going to fix and it's going to play flawlessly. And it's like I'm just thinking, why didn't you just wait then? Why didn't
come from though? Is it going to come from Iron Galaxy?
I hope not. If it's coming from Iron Galaxy, it ain't never going to happen. But then, but also, it's like this kind of goes back into something that we talked about a few weeks ago with the developer from Tango Gameworks when they talked about Hi-Fi Rush, and when it comes to Hi-Fi Rush, they were talking about how they made it was imperative for them to have the PC version working well at launch, and so they saw what the issues were, and they knew that like. It's how you QA test the game that's causing these problems. Well, a good portion of these problems. The way this game was developed wrong by Naughty Dog. So there's that. But like the testing, if you are consistently QA testing a game for bugs, but you're not reinstalling the game each and every time, you're not seeing that like you're missing shaders. And so there is this thing that DX12 is supposed to do where it's supposed to automatically compile the shaders. But the process of doing that with DX12 isn't very efficient. It doesn't automatically compile all the shaders. So in the QA testing, you need to make sure that you are uninstalling the game and reinstalling it before you start testing so that if there are shaders being missed, then you can get those put into the next build. They're not doing that.
They definitely not doing that.
They're also not testing on different generations of graphics cards, which is why early when we first started to see this happening, people were like, I got a 1080 Ti, or I got a 2080 Ti, or I got a 2060. I got no problem with this game. And then people on the 3000 generation NVIDIA cards was like, it's a stuttery mess. What's going on? It's because they didn't test the game on that architecture. And so it's just, you can't develop your game on PC exactly the way you develop your game on console. And if you use that same philosophy across the board, you're going to have these situations where the console version's fine, the PC version is a disaster. And so it's not, I'm not going to say it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Even I'm not a developer, so I can't I'm not trying to pretend like it's easy, but we have enough cases of this going wrong and being done poorly where people need to just be like, yo, you know how to fix this already now. Why aren't you doing it before it comes out? It's ridiculous.
Right. I agree. K Live, please grace us with your just grace us with the ability to tell us what the heck is going on with PC ports. This isn't anything new. This is something that's always been happening, but you see the footage on the screen. This game doesn't look like this on a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5. And guess what? If it was on a PS3, it was on a PS3. It wouldn't look this bad on there either. So, yeah, what do you think about just PC ports and just how these developers are going about making these games over on PC and what they need to do going forward?
Okay, so I got to tell you guys, he has way back in time. I know exactly what the problem is with this game. I know exactly what the problem is. You ready? Slow-mo, you ready for this? I'm gonna tell y'all.
I'm ready.
You have to go back to the early days when you were young and the PlayStation 3 got announced and they played the cell processor demo playing like 57 Blu-rays at once. It's the god dang cell processor trying to come back alive and kill us all in 2023.
Oh man.
The current PCs can't keep up with this technology. It was from the future. If you remember, they were putting PlayStation 2 chips in the warheads in Iraq. This is this is Terminator happening in real life, messing with our PC games. Okay, but no, seriously. All jokes aside. And if you look, and I was just looking up the specs of the PS3, right? It's not even a processor. They call it a broadband engine. I'm like, you can't emulate a broadband engine. What is that? So, but seriously though, I do own the game. I have the game only because my son bought it, and we Steam share. So it did crash on me once or twice, but I'm aware that my PC is kind of, let's just say it's next level. I have the top line everything 4090 i9, the whatever, the 3900K, whatever heck it is. So I'm getting about, I don't know, like 120 frames or something, equivalent to that. But I just think the internet also is the reason these people get lazy, because before the internet was like really prevalent. When you bought a game, there was no patching it when it's done. It's like, hey, let's meet this deadline. Let's appease the overlords of the publishers, all that stuff. Let's put it out and fix it later. Like, we are literally in the era of PC and even Xbox and PlayStation or any console game. Put it out. They're going to buy it. We'll fix it with a patch later and say we added more features and all that good stuff. I guarantee you there'll be a remaster of this game in 5 years and they'll sell another 50 copies of it. I just think that
this is already the fourth remaster of this.
Yeah, exactly. So I just think it's a lot of deadlines and trying to push things out, because here's the real thing, right? People, they buy it anyway. They're going to buy it. They're going to play it. So until, us as the consumers, we stop just eating up what they put out, what's the incentive for them not to put it out when it's not ready? So, I mean, again, we're emulating a game. The PlayStation 3 came out. When does this game come out? What, like 2012 or some crap?
But it's not emulating it. It's a remake under I don't know what game engine they're doing now, but it's whatever their updated proprietary engine is for Naughty Dog. But it is they're essentially trying to do the version that of the game that came out, the remake of it on PS5, not PS4.
No, I'm saying they're redoing the PS4 version, not the PS3 version.
Right. Even though, like, as far as like level design, like nothing has changed. Like, this is really more like it's not like a full-on remake like you see from, say, Resident Evil 4, where like there are literally things that have changed from the first game to this one, or Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 when they took out the clock tower. Like, that was different. Dead Space, where certain sections of the game actually is different than how it originally was. This is literally the exact same game, but built from the ground up on their new engine, because the old game on their old engine is just like, there's just no way for them to use that exact version of the game and just pretty up the textures and put it in a higher frame rate and higher resolution. All that said, like, you can't develop a game that's developed for custom hardware on consoles, even though it is still running, like, say, RDNA 2 architecture from AMD. But you can't just like develop that game the same way you did on consoles and do the exact same thing on PC, especially if you're going to be using DX12, which none of PlayStation's first party games use DX12 as an API. On PlayStation, there's no purpose. So it's like the translation from making the same game but doing it on PC it's not like you're creating a brand new game from scratch. Yet at the same time, it shouldn't be this hard. Like
Right.
this is.
But it's hard to say though, because it's like they're using. I'm looking at some comparisons right now from the PS3 to the PC port. Like the rigging, like the actual animations are pretty much the same. So to take that code, from how many years? You said it came out when, not a kill?
The original game was 2011. It was
11.
11.
Yeah. So it's over a decade later, and sometimes I would imagine it possibly could be a little bit easier in certain aspects to do it from the ground up versus trying to make this engine from 2010 fit in the engine from 2020. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm not a game developer, but I do know if you're building a wall from scratch, right? It's your wall, just something simple. You just be bricks, Legos, whatever you want to call it. When you do it from scratch, it's you understand it. You built it. Versus, hey, Slow Mo, here's my wall. Figure it out. And then Shannon, yeah, exactly. And then right, and Not a Kill comes in and looks at you like, what the hell is this? Well, listen, I was working with what I had. And then on top of that, Slow Mo, you better hit this deadline with this money I gave you. You promised me it'll be done in 2 weeks. You got a day left. You got another 80% to go. You're gonna just slap some stuff together and tell Not a Kill you'll fix it later. So, not being a game developer, I can't imagine kind of the pressure that they're on, to kind of hit these deadlines. But again, I just think it needs to come out, take the Grand Theft Auto approach with Rockstar, where it's out when it's ready, when it's perfect. Very few Rockstar games come out broken, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I think. I think it's deadlines, rushing. If you're a game developer, for the most part, I believe you love what you do. The crunches can kind of be the heartache from me just reading online. But I just think just give the artist the time they need to make the game how it should be made and put it out when it's ready. So that's
I
my
definitely do agree with you on that, and especially you brought up Rockstar. You look at Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 came out, was that like a full year after the console release?
Yeah, it was same thing for Grand Theft Auto 5. It was a full year after.
And that was important for them because even like they have over 1,000 developers working on these games. Rockstar used to make a bunch of games, but now they just make one game with the same amount of people. So they got like literally ridiculous resources and unlimited time. That unlimited time is really important because it's like they wouldn't have released Red Dead 2, even though Red Dead 2 initially, when it was like, I don't know if you guys remember the very first day on PC, Red Dead 2 was unplayable.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I remember the graphic of Rockstar popping up with the shotgun shells that drop on the screen. The game was crashing before the shotgun shells could finish dropping. So it was like they had an issue.
Was that across the board, or was it certain? I know it was on Epic, it was on Steam. Was that an AMD thing? Was it Nvidia thing?
It was across the board. It didn't matter if you bought it on Epic Game Store or Steam or straight from Rockstar's launcher. It was shoot, 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 crash. It was like the shotgun shells fall, crash. And I remember seeing it like, hey, what's going on, man? I can't get past the load screen. But then once they push something out like in a day, it was fine after that. But like the reason why I wanted to bring up Rockstar was that they had for Red Dead 2 on PC, they had it running in DX11 and Vulkan. You could choose which version do you want to run. You could run in Vulkan or DX12 or DX11, and it's like PlayStation. They develop their games with Vulkan anyway. Why don't you just do this in Vulkan? Okay, would you be missing some awesome features? I can't remember if Vulkan can do ray tracing or not. Regardless, yeah, you may be missing some stuff.
Vulkan can do ray tracing because it works on or at least it does on Doom 3.
Okay, good.
Doom Eternal.
Yeah, there's probably a very reasonable technical reason why they didn't go with Vulkan, but still, like, try to make it work. Like, give us the choice. Because if the DX12 version's busted and you did the wrong implementation of that, according to Microsoft, give us a version of like, I can just switch this to Vulkan and it's going to run solid.
Right.
But nah, you just so like if you do it like this, and again, I don't even know how many developers they had assigned to this. Like, was it a small team that was working on the PC version? I don't know. But regardless of how many people you had working on it, this end result is not a good look. And if you really want to grow your platform on PC, you really want to get PC gamers to start buying your games in more and more, you can't have some of your biggest releases on PC come out like this.
Yeah, and that's a good segue right there. Because the other half of this other half of this of the news that came out over the last couple of days is the fact that Naughty Dog is supporting PC and PS5 going forward with the launch of this. So that also ties into, you know, they're not so super secret massive multiplayer game that is going to it's going to be factions that's going to most likely launch on PC day and date, because that's kind of what I'm
Well, that's a
reading from
guarantee.
that. Yeah,
That's a guarantee.
because that game is built
Herman
around
Holst
that.
already said it. Herman Holst already said it that their multiplayer games, their live service games, will be launching on both at launch. But for single player games, it's going to be like a minimum year delay for it to come on PC. But yeah, it's guaranteed to come out at launch on PC.
Right.
Like, this is where I brought the reason why I brought up like the number of people that may have had dedicated to this, because if you've expanded factions. I don't even think it's going to be called factions too. I think it's going to be called something else.
It's going to be called something else. They're going to rebrand it.
But you separated these people out, made them a completely separate team. You expanded and hired more people for that team. I'm thinking you got far more resources available for factions 2 than you had for The Last of Us Part 1's PC port. At least I hope so. Because if it's going to be anything like this, that thing is going to be another huge mess at launch. And the point of even putting it on PC, to have a bigger multiplayer community, a bigger pool of gamers to play with, you're going to completely defeat that purpose and wasted your time as well as everyone else's time, because PC gamers are extremely fickle. Let them feel like you're trying to slight them. They will pirate your game and you get no money just cause.
True.
They will let them feel like you're trying to get one over on them. Like, think about how they treat Epic Game Store. And Epic Game Store, I think, is just fine. I have no problem with Epic Game Store. But there are a ton of PC gamers that like Epic Game Store are like Nazi sympathizers or something. It's just like I refuse to play anything on that. I'll get their free games, but I won't buy anything over there. It's just like, yo, they petty. Mad petty. So
he called them Nazi sympathizers.
That's the way they act. It's crazy. So it's just like, you don't want to get a reputation that you just make, like, you make quality games, but just not on PC. Because if that's the case, PC gamers will ignore you, and they don't care about your pedigree in other platforms. They just will ignore your launches, and you're going to be wasting your time.
Well, quick question: Is it an issue with the crashing, or is it performance? Is there any performance issues that people are talking about?
I didn't really see people saying, "Oh, my frame rate's in the 20s" or something like that. But it's the crashing. Okay. Like I specifically heard someone say they played the game for an hour and it crashed 18 times on them.
Oh, Jesus.
After the third time, I'm not playing no more.
After the third time, it's a wrap.
It is a wrap for me. Yeah. Uninstall. But part of the other issue is that, like, Steam has a refund policy. No questions asked. You can get your game refunded if you've only played it for less than 2 hours. Mm-hmm. But if it takes, like, and there was a bug with with the compiling of shaders. It wasn't supposed to take over an hour to compile shaders.
Yeah, mine didn't take that long. No,
it only affected some people. Some people, but yeah, there's some people who compiling shaders took over an hour, and that wasn't supposed to happen. But that's
did they have a toaster? Like,
I have no idea what they was running the game on. But if it's a PC that was built in the past 5 years, it shouldn't take that. I don't care. It shouldn't take that long to compile shaders. Period. If you have a modern CPU, it shouldn't take that long to compile shaders. Regardless, that's eating into your 2 hour time. So if you end up like you play the game for an hour and a half and it's like, nah, fam, this ain't it. This is too buggy. I want my money back. But too late. because half your time that that Steam gave you to make sure that you like the game or not, you lost half that time staring at the main menu screen. So, I mean, that's what part of this video Forte is showing is with the building shaders is with it speeding it up 10 times, and it's slowly going up. That's part of the issue that people were dealing with.
Look, you know what it is? It's the RGB at the bottom of the monitor. You see that? The keyboard. It's messing with it. RGB, excuse me, messes up everything.
Oh my god! No,
those are jokes, people.
No, the one thing I will say that one part that I will say with Kayla, what he was saying about hitting deadlines. Like you said, this game was supposed to release earlier in March, and I know they were trying to time this up a little bit closer to close to the end of the Last of Us
TV show.
Yeah, so they were trying to do that too. So they ended up delayed, which was good, but part of me does feel like a lot of the things got either skipped over and they said we can just do in a patch later on just to get this game out the door. And it's just like, to me, it just feels like, where is quality control at when it comes to stuff like this? Because normally if it's only affecting a limited amount of different, systems or overall performance and stuff like that, you normally wouldn't be this widespread. But the fact that this is like literally everybody experiencing it, it's like what happened what literally happened in QA. So it's something, and we don't know how long it's going to take to get this fixed. It honestly seems like something that's going to take a couple of weeks. So I pray for the people that actually paid money for this. Hopefully you were able to get your money back. Other than that, just sit by and wait and wait for the game to get fixed, because it's an amazing game, and a lot of people were looking forward to seeing what it was going to be like on PC. I was one of them, but as soon as I saw what was happening on Twitter with this game, I just instantly was like, nope, that $50 I got sitting on my Steam account will stay there until something else happens with it.
I got plenty to play in the meantime. I still ain't played Returnal on PC yet.
Yes,
Returnal is fire.
Yeah, I need to jump on that. So I got a lot to do. Even though I was going to play this before that, but shoot, they can go work on this until and I play some other things until then. I even actually bought Diablo 2. I didn't like the crack that is Diablo 4 from last weekend.
You had to get back in, huh?
I'm going through withdrawals, man. I played Diablo 3 I played Diablo 3 for a little bit. And then I saw that Diablo 2 was on sale on Xbox and PlayStation for like $13.
It just made the jump.
Yeah, I just said, hey, look, $13. Why can't so I bought it on PlayStation, and then I bought it on. I got it on Xbox. It already had like $15.
Have you played any? You played it, of course, right?
No, I did that today. I haven't had a chance to play it yet. I might play it tonight. I was going to say,
because it would have been a good test on asking you which one you think is more similar to. Like, I mean, overall fidelity and everything like that's going to probably lean more closer to 3. But I feel like it's a good match of part 2 with the enhancements they have from 3 that's making it a little bit better. But I enjoyed it. Like I said, I had well over 20 hours in Diablo 4's beta. Multiple characters, got up to 25. So I can't wait for that game to come out. Kayla, while we're in between, did you get a chance to play? I know when you were at my house one day when I was playing it, did you actually download the beta and try it out?
No, you ruined it for me.
Why did I ruin it for you?
So I'm playing Diablo 2, and I'm playing longer than you, right? And I got my wizard thinking I'm doing damage. I'm like, whatever I'm doing, right? I see numbers ticking off, 10,000, 15,000 going every second. Nobody's dying. I got like little health. You join the dang party, and you do some with your monk, and he zips all over the screen, kills everything, and you're at full health.
I remember when that happened.
I don't like that. And I'm just saying, I'm like, I've been playing this. I got like 15 more hours than you, and you're clearing the whole screen in like 10 seconds, and you're not even near death.
Hey man, that's called min-maxing. Most people don't know how to do that. Why? So, but no, to answer your question, I did not get a chance to. Work was eating my life like
for gaming, and I just got some time off, so I'm about to start playing some stuff today. But as you just told me just now, the open beta is over, so I did pre-order it. So I'll be playing with you guys when you guys get it going.
Oh yeah, it's cross-platform play too, so you can play with anybody. And I don't think that was available during the beta, was it? You couldn't play.
Yeah, no, it was. It was available.
Oh, it was available. Cause I didn't
Yes,
even.
yeah, cross-platform was definitely a bit, and cross-progression because I tested it out. I went on. I refused to play it on PC because of that some of the issues that people were having with it. So I just played it on PlayStation and Xbox.
I was getting stuttering on PC pretty frequently when it came to cutscenes and stuff. But I don't have
shader compile stutter.
Yeah, I didn't have the 3080 issue where I was worried about my GPU dying, but
I primarily played it on PlayStation, and then I recorded like a good hour and a half of me playing it solo on Xbox, and it was the same exact sorcerer that I had like it all the progress that I had has switched over to the different platforms. So they seem to have all that nailed down pretty good. Do give me a moment though, because I got a kid issue real quick.
Oh no, you're good, bro. Yeah.
Are you mad? Are you mad not to kill that the monk wasn't in the game right now? Because that's what you played on too, right?
I started out with the monk, but I transitioned to sorcerer or wizard in 3. So I'm more I love the range attacks more than anything because in Diablo for some reason they don't know how to scale, because when you level up in the game, like your scaling proportionate to what the enemies are is so busted because you don't have the same gear. Like you don't have the gear to kind of combat the enemy health that they're throwing at you. So when you level up, the enemies level up, they get stronger, their attacks are harder, they get more health, so it takes longer for you to destroy them. But when you level up, you still have the same gear on. You don't have like gear for like whatever level you're at. You got to go out and craft that gear. So it's always good to have like a ranged character in those moments of the game. But I do miss playing with the monk and everything. So I'm definitely gonna jump into that because I did Druid, I did the Demon Hunter, and then I did Sorcerer, and it was great, bro. It was so fun.
Let's go.
You fell asleep upstairs. I swear when I went upstairs, like, what are you doing? He was like, you already done? I said, yeah, I played like an hour. You was upstairs watching YouTube on your laptop.
That was an angry nap because again, flashbacks is when you clear the screen in 2 seconds.
Oh man, well, that's Diablo 3. I mean, those are the good times. Had well over 3,000 hours in that game. It was fun.
My wizard couldn't do that.
Oh well, that's because you didn't put time in. But it is what it is. But Slow-Mo will be back. So moving on to the next topic, talk about PSVR 2. I know you don't have the PlayStation VR. You didn't have the first one. You're just mostly you got the Vive.
I have all headsets. I have all. I got an Index.
Yeah.
I just bought the Meta Quest Pro that was $1,500 and just dropped to 1,000. So I'm mad about that. Yeah. I got all the VRs, bro.
Okay, so first of all, well, the news is that PSVR is not selling as well as it was hoping to sell. There is where is the article where they were talking about it? It was basically it's underperforming. It's well under 300,000 units sold, or I think it was like 250,000. Now it did just release in February 23rd, I believe. So what do you think Sony, because if Sony's like the only one that can get real mass adoption, in my opinion, when it comes to VR. I mean, I understand Oculus did really, really well because it was one of the very first VRs you could buy that was completely portable, doesn't have to be hooked up to any hardware, but it does give you the option to buy the link cable to get more power to it if you hook it up to a very high-end PC. But the fact that people buy PlayStations in droves, it basically opens up the ecosystem for people to do that. So what are your thoughts on just the growth of VR, and what do you think needs to happen for mass adoption of VR to happen, K-Live?
Price. The barrier to entry Like I think the PSVR, what's the price on it? If it's, I
It's
guarantee
$549.99.
it's the price. It's the price of a PlayStation.
It's more than a PlayStation.
Exactly. So the price of entry has to make sense, right? Who's going to buy two PlayStations essentially? So, in my opinion, the price needs to come down because the Quest 2 sells really well. And at one point, I think that was what, $299 or
It
$350.
was $299 before they raised the price.
Yeah, correct. So and it's a standalone unit. So you can use it and play a ton of games on its own, and then you have the option to hook up to a PC. So barrier of entry and options to use the device. But I think the issue with VR in general, not just PlayStation, is getting that killer app, and not the killer app where the graphics look amazing or it's super fun. It has to be something that is relatively accessible. And what I mean by that is every one of in my house right now, every single family member has a VR headset. Me, my wife, my son, my daughter. We will hop on and play Beat Saber every now and then. But the number one reason we don't play it is we rather sit down and play Tekken or Call of Duty on the couch. Like if you play VR for 20 minutes, you're sweating.
Right, yeah.
Like no joke. Like no joke. So it's like we become lazy gamers, and it's just getting people off the couch and giving them the reason to. It has to be a very what's what I'm looking for? It has to be something that intrigues you, and I really do mean intrigue, to where you want to get up and play. Like it's almost gonna have to be like a job. Like it's gonna have like a monetary value to the person playing the game. Because I just think VR is really, really, really cool, but it's not always really, really, really fun. Right? Could you imagine trying to do something really fun, but you're dead tired?
Right. That makes so much sense.
It's like you want to play this, you want to do it, but man, I need a drink of water.
Right.
So I think the price needs to come down, and you need to incentivize. And this is this is just my opinion. There's no easy answer to it, but I think you have to incentivize people to actually play, and you might have to end up giving these headsets away. I mean, would you agree that what was it on the Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast had 4 controller slots, right? That is a cool idea. That's awesome, right?
Right.
But the number one selling console of all time, let's just say hardcore gamer, the PlayStation 2, only had 2, controller ports on it. Like
Well,
how many people used all 4? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Wait, let me ask you. Did you just try to discount Nintendo again?
Listen,
Wait,
Nintendo
no,
is
did
a toy
you
company.
literally just
Yes,
discount Nintendo
yes.
by saying, "Oh, well, because we're talking about hardcore systems." Did you just discount Nintendo for real?
Listen, man, Nintendo is not a game company; it's a toy company. Go listen. I got you. If you ask somebody, you want the brand new hottest Zelda or an amiibo, it's going to be a hard question for them to answer. I'm just saying, man. Listen, go get your amiibo and let me know how that works out for you.
I can't believe you, bro. Like, look, you just as bad as the rest of these people. Like, listen, Nintendo hasn't even passed the PlayStation 2 in sales. Now it will happen in the next 2 years. They only got like another 30 million to go. So it's going to happen. They will be the number one most sold system of all time. But I definitely agree. I like the analogy that you used when it came to just describing what VR is and what it isn't, because I always tell people all the time, VR is one of those experiences, even if you can't do it on a consistent basis because of the fact that you might get motion sickness or something, if you try it, you're going to like it, you're going to love it. It's just, are you going to be able to do it consistently?
Correct.
And are you going to be able to and when I mean consistently, are you going to be able to do it more than just 20, 30 minutes? Because after a while, you're sitting there like, whoo, I feel like I need to go take a shower.
Exactly. But there is a trap to it, though. What I mean by that is I was playing VR chat. And it's kind of like the Roblox, or it's kind of it's a sandbox. It's whatever you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the community got me. Like we were just in there. I was in a maze, and there's a game where I just walk into this door. It's like it's a hub. and there's a bunch of doors, and you walk into these doors, and they're all different games. Now it tells you, excuse me, what the game is before you go into it. But I wasn't reading. I'm just going in, and it's like a maze, and it's a ball like that you have to follow. And I'm like, what is this ball? And everyone started helping me. We had to work together. I ended up playing that thing for 5 hours. Like seriously. But I met cool people. I friended like 4 of the 5 people that were in there.
Okay.
So I do see it being more of a community thing, but it's just how many people solo queuing games now. I really believe solo queuing is more prevalent than joining it as a party. Would you agree with that or no?
No, I do agree with that, and I also agree with what they're saying in chat. VR is boring after 3 months. It especially if you don't have the one thing that's going to make you come back and go back to it. Like for me, I always tell people VR. The one thing that I always want in VR is something like a flight sim, like something like that. I know I want to jump into on a consistent basis. Like I played Flight Simulator in VR. I played the Star Wars Squadron game in VR. I played Ace Combat in VR, and those are really, really cool experiences, but I wouldn't play them every day consistently. And if that was like, if someone was to say, and those are my favorite things because it immerses you like 100%. But if someone was to say, would you rather play a game like a shooter or a regular game, or play a VR game for the rest of your life stuck on the island, I would never pick a VR game because I would be like dreading every time I had to put that headset on and have to get ready to sweat to death.
Right. I mean, and here's the question. I love how you just said those are your favorite games, right? It's like it's VR is a secondary thing. If those games, Ace Air Combat wasn't on console or PC, right? Would you have bought it if it was the same price and strictly just a VR game?
If it was strictly just a VR game?
Yeah. So if you didn't know nothing about it, you just saw, an ad, or you saw, the game in Steam store, and you just saw it, right? Because you played it because it was an option that you had because you already owned the game.
Right.
Would you have bought it if it was strictly just a VR game? Would you buy it for just that?
If I didn't, so would I buy
You
that
don't own
with
it.
VR?
Yes, if you had a headset and you saw that game and it was strictly on VR, would you pay $50-$60 for it?
Oh no, I wouldn't pay $50-$60 for I just can't do that for just a VR experience. I don't feel like, first of all, I don't think any experience on VR, probably with the exception of Half-Life Alyx.
Half-Life Alyx is incredible.
Is the only game I can justify saying that I would spend full price for, like $50 or $60 for. Everything else is more of an experience. Like even Ace Combat is just a mode inside the game that's basically an experience. The Star Wars Squadron, same thing, just an experience. Now I will say this, Flight Sim I probably would, because you could play the whole game in VR. The whole thing could be transitioned over to VR. So outside of those 2 games, no. I Ace Combat, no, I wouldn't buy a $60 version of Ace Combat just for VR, because I know what experience means versus a full-fledged game.
Right, got you. So now, and I think, and to get back to the Sony topic, I think this would be a prime opportunity for Sony to bring back their virtual hangout. What's the name of it? Where it's like a big just chat. It was PlayStation something. Remember Hustle. PlayStation Home. That could be a very good opportunity to make it like the VR hub and have a bunch of user created content in there. I think that's what I would go with it, and that will wake up VR for Sony. And in my opinion, you have to drop the price. The accessory can't cost more than the console, right? So make it more community based. I mean, throw in some VR games with PlayStation Plus, the membership, and that could help. That could be like the injection you need, and you may probably have to give some incentives or kickbacks to these publishers to make some VR games for your system, because right now the best games they have, I believe, are Sony, in-house games, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
I think if they wanted to have a cheaper option, or I think they probably should have made a VR headset that wasn't as advanced as this current one is, because this one is comparable to VR headsets that are like $1,000 on PC. So it's like you made it so event, which is fine, that it does that, and that's great. But like, I mean, I said this a while ago before it came out, and I'm not interested in VR like that. But I think I'm like a lot of people are like myself, where they don't really care for VR. And even though I've experienced it myself, I have a Quest 2, so I know what VR is like, and it's cool. But you want more out of your gaming experiences. You don't want limited gaming experiences due to the fact that the hardware is still somewhat limited in this as far as the immersiveness. And some people just don't care for it, and I think it's very polarizing because there are people who are like, they try VR and they're all in on it. They gotta get every headset, they gotta play every game. They love it. And I'm glad they're enjoying it. But then there's some that try and they're just like, it's nothing. I don't care. I'm going back to traditional gaming. And so I think they're at a position now where they need to either put it on PC and open it up to the point where, like,
100%.
on PC, people can just use it for non-PlayStation games.
Is it a generic connection? Is it USB or is it some proprietary PlayStation connection?
USB-C.
Yeah,
Oh,
USB-C.
bro, what you just said is it. Like, that should have. I can almost tell you that that's too good of an idea to not happen. In the future, that will happen.
I kind of assumed that they were going to put it on PC anyway once they did their PlayStation launcher on PC, which they're still working on, but that's not quite, like, it ain't ready for prime time yet. But I think when it comes to VR, they don't want to share the revenue of those game sales for VR with anyone else.
Hey,
So
you want 50% of 1,000 sales, or do you want 40% of 2 million?
True. I mean, yeah. I mean, but that's. I think, like, I would have been made that decision, but that's them, And I think they want to be able to turn a storefront that they created into a massive launcher on PlayStation. I'm gonna say on PC, where a lot of their, say, timed exclusive games they got, as well as their own first party content, is all available there, and then they probably would give people incentives to buy it there instead of somewhere else, like maybe like free cosmetic kind of stuff, that kind of deal. I don't think they would go as far as, well, depending on how big the game is, because like Epic Game Store did that with Fortnite. They took Fortnite off of everything when they came out with Epic Game Store, but you can do that because that's Fortnite. People are just going, what are you gonna do, not play it? When you've invested all this time and money into that particular IP, yeah, you're just gonna download the free launcher and play it. And I think that is kind of like opening things up to get people in your ecosystem. And so they open up the launcher, and now they're seeing games they might like in addition to the game that they're there for to begin with. But I mean, all that said, just my opinion, I think that's why they chose not to go to do anything on PC yet. But they needed to come out with this VR thing before they were ready for any of that other stuff. And it's like, on console, I think there are a limited number of gamers that care about VR.
Oh, agree.
And
100% what you just said, and not to cut you off, but the thing
yeah.
is when the player base is so small, you can't lose anybody. Like, you have to grow. So when you make an investment like this, like, you have to grow. Like, it can't even be maintaining the player base isn't enough. I mean, how many people do you know, you guys play online quite a bit, that talk about VR? I'm really asking that question. For me, it's very niche, right? I probably play with about 13 people consistently. 2 people talk about it, and one of them is me. So, you do the math. So I'm asking you guys that question. How many times does VR come up when you guys are just interacting online?
Almost never. It comes up when
something new gets announced and we're getting close to like a AAA game, like a AAA game coming out, or the VR headset, or a new one, or a price drop or something like that. Like, even with the Quest, the only time we talked about it in podcasts is when we were talking about the price hike. This is the only time we really talked about it. The only time we talked about games was like when Half-Life Alyx came out, or we were talking about
On here, I talked about it when I picked it up
or when you
on a
bought one,
humble to try it
exactly.
out. Yeah. But like, look, I know of like before the PSVR 2 came out, I know of 2 people who were hardcore into VR and just in normal gaming conversations would bring up a VR game and say, you gotta try this. And that's Lord Cognito from the ILP, who also works for Oculus. So,
Yeah.
Shout out to Cog, but there's some professional backing there,
Okay.
and also our friend Kay Asante, who is big into VR, has like every VR headset that's out there, and has enjoyed a lot of games. When I got VR, he actually gave me a lot of suggestions of games to try, which I did, and some of them were cool, but nothing that really like blew me away. I think VR right now in our community is even a part of the conversation simply because this PSVR 2 just came out. And there are a lot of PlayStation fans that wanted to support it and enjoy it. And some of them are, and I'm not saying they aren't. And some of them are, I think, just playing it up a little bit. But it's a relevant conversation because there's a new headset that is pretty advanced and pretty impressive hardware wise, but probably not so much on the software front as of now. But I think I just feel like even if it had like a Half-Life Alyx or better level of game available for it, I don't think it would have really moved the needle any further than it currently is right now. Because it's just not enough people that really care for VR.
Yeah, listen, I agree. And I know I see not a killer and change the gameplay, so it's probably like, let's keep this moving.
Oh no,
So
no, you're good. Somebody was talking, someone was talking about see his Destiny gameplay again, and I'm like, okay.
Okay, understood. All right, so
I didn't say anything about this.
No. Somebody in the chat said that. Somebody in the chat.
All right, so let's play
Good
Job.
for them, by the way.
Let's play Job Simulator right now.
Yes, this is my actual.
Oh, hey, calm down. I got that. I'm gonna get to that. Listen, you over talking me.
Go ahead.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
Before we get to that, I want to do Job Simulator with you and Slow Mo, because it's easy to talk about what we would do in a situation versus actually making a decision and being under the pressure to do it. So they have no idea what I'm about to say here, guys. And if not a kill you like this, I'll ask you how to do it next time. Because I'm asking for forgiveness, not permission. So here's the role play. So you, not a kill, and Slow Mo are publishers for Sony, and you're over the VR department, right? Your salary is about $190,000 a year, and we gave you a $50,000 signing bonus to grow our market share, and you promised a better launch. I've called you both into my office, and this is my conversation. I want your responses. So good afternoon, Slow Mo, not a kill. The numbers just came in for the initial launch for the PlayStation VR, and it is extremely short of the forecast you gave us. I need you both to tell me within 30 seconds or less what you plan on doing to correct this launch, because this is a financial hit that our department cannot take, and we paid you guys a nice amount of money and a signing bonus to promote this product and have a great launch. So I'm going to ask you, not a kill, and Slow Mo, what is your plans to do this, turn this thing around? I'm going to give you an infinite budget, and I need a plan right now for what you're going to do, and there is no cap on turning this around. You let me know the plan and the money you need. Go right now. Not a kill. I want to hear from you first.
Oh man, you gonna put me on the spot like this? I didn't even know this was. I didn't even know this was a business.
You put us on the spot when you asked for that $50K signing bonus. Deliver on what you and your team promised you would do. Not a kill. What is the plan? My checkbook is open. How do we turn around PlayStation VR? Go.
Well, the biggest thing that I would tell them is we definitely need to take this just outside of the PlayStation ecosystem. This needs to be something that needs to be playable on any platform, especially on PC, anything that has the ability to play VR. I also think we need to go to some of our higher end publishers and get some ideas from them on some games that they actually want to make in VR and see if they're willing to develop VR games for our platform and everything like that. And I think on top of that, I think we need to build our VR studios, build VR only studios instead of just making our AAA studios have to like split their time between development of games like Last of Us or Spider-Man and then have them make VR games on the side. We need dedicated VR studios to be able to do this. And this is something that I think will definitely help us now. But in the short term, I just think we need to open this up and allow VR to be used, this VR to be used on PC, where there's already a breadth of content for people to purchase and play games at.
Okay. So what I just took from that out of Kill is you want to open up our platform to PC. There will be a significant dollar cost to get licensing for Steam, Windows 10 and 11, DirectX drivers, all of that. Is your team willing to absorb that cost, or do you need the budget from us?
I would. This is something that I would actually need the budget for.
Okay. So Forte, do you agree? I mean, excuse me, Slow Mo, do you agree with what Not a Kill just said?
Absolutely not.
Here we go.
I don't agree. I also told you guys this was going to happen. I took the money, absolutely, but I told you this was going to be the end result. But you guys wanted to force the issue. Hey, we gotta do more VR. Hey, let's make the very best VR headset we can, and then charge it on a market where people aren't expecting to spend on hardware more than $500. And expect it to sell. I told y'all this would happen. I told you this would happen. But you know what? Here we are. And so this is how we get out of it, okay?
I'm all ears.
This is how we get out of it. You just get out of it.
You
just cut the losses and just keep it going. You can't get people to buy this. More look, I'm not saying that the games are subpar. No. I'm not saying that this is a lesser VR experience that you would get on PC. Absolutely not. I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying is that your target market isn't going to buy it no matter how great it is. Let me tell you what the target market thinks about VR, okay? They look at Black Mirror and they think that should be VR. I want to play a fighting game and end up into some weird kind of sexual relationship. That's what they want to play in VR. I want to play a game that's so scary can't tell is real or not, and I have a heart attack. That's the kind of stuff they want to play in VR. They want it to be small enough that it looks like a pebble you stick on your forehead or some glasses, not a headset, no matter how lightweight it is. That's just the way people view VR. It's unrealistic. But until VR does that, that's what people are going to expect. So let's do what we always do, Sony. Let's not talk about it. When people ask us questions, we just change the subject to how great PS5 is doing. Hey, Jesus. That new game that came out, selling like blockbusters. Matter of fact, PlayStation 5 is outselling every PlayStation we've ever made. It's great, isn't it? Yeah, but we was talking about PSVR. Anyway, on to what we're coming out with now, Wolverine.
I get you. Yeah, I get you. I get you. So this is what I'm going to say. So I appreciate your honesty and transparency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm docking both your guys' bonuses back. And some bonuses. And Not a Kill, you are now the project lead, and Slow Mo is fired.
Sounds great. I had already worked on my resume. I knew this was coming. I will be announcing on Twitter I'm working at EA tomorrow.
Capono he said it before.
On Twitter.
Capono said it right before. He said they would fire Slow Mo on the spot.
Hey. This is why I don't work in management. And my company, they when they ask me these kind of questions, they already know the answer they're going to get.
I do agree with what a couple people in the chat was talking about. I do think the one thing that if
Ready Player One,
yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like the one thing I say what Slow Mo said is we need to get to a point. VR needs to get to a point where you feel like you're in a world with other people It is not just this standardized singular experience. It needs to be this shared world. Like the PlayStation Home stuff would really work, because I do think when you get into an ecosystem like that, it becomes more of an experience with other people versus it just being a singular experience. But I do think the one hindering thing that really hurts it is the price
The
point.
technology isn't. Well, the technology.
Well, the technology will never. It's
The
not.
technology
It's not
is
there.
expensive. It's the technology isn't there for what will make mass numbers of people adopt it, but it also is advanced enough that it can't be cheap. They made it as cheap as they possibly could make it. They couldn't make this thing like they could even the Quest 2, which is inferior to the PSVR 2, had a price increase. They could not make it cheaper, even though like there are people out there that just like, man, it was too expensive. Yeah, it's too expensive for you. There are no, like, out of all the VR experiences that have been coming out, Oculus, the original Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, the Valve Index. Are any of them under $500?
No.
The only one that was under $500 was the Quest 2, and it was gimped so that it could be wireless. And
well, you pay that first adopter tax. Like, I'm pretty sure the Quest 2 or 3 when it comes out is going to be a little bit cheaper, because the Pico headset just came out, and that's cheaper than the Quest 2, and it's better in every way. So you pay the first adopter tax when it first comes out. But I think what you said about Black Mirror, and there was a comment in chat about getting the Ready Player One. If you remember earlier in this segment, I actually talked about there needs to be a monetary value associated with it. I wasn't even thinking about Player One, but that's going to get people involved. If you remember in that movie, you play for real world items. In-game items that had real world value.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So it's going to have to almost be its own economy to where people can be like, okay, this is a lifestyle, right? You know, when YouTube blew up, is when affiliates started getting on here, getting partnerships and being paid. The quality of the content got better. So VR will get better when the community is there. And I agree with that comment where he said it needs to be the Ready Player One, which is a version of what you said about Black Mirror. I think that's going to be kind of the breaking point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something I've always kind of said for VR is that it's still not ready for prime time. And it's until it's ready for prime time is when someone is able to come up with a balance of a experience that kind of like brushes up against what we see that's unrealistic science fiction from TV shows and movies, but also it gets close enough to that, but also is a reasonable price where people can kind of figure out, hey, you know what, maybe I can get this. Or they can do something like they do with their cell phones where they buy it, but they're actually kind of leasing it. Kind of like what Xbox does with the Xbox consoles, where they got like a credit plan that's very similar to what they do with cell phones. Because a lot of these people out here ain't really buying their cell phone straight up. They're not really spending $1,200 on a cell phone. They're really actually spending they are spending that, but they're spending it over time. They're not spending it all at once. Like when you could combine some of those features together, then you can come up with a full product that was somehow. What are you doing on the screen?
No, go ahead. Something just leaked out that we gonna talk about in a second.
Okay. You can come up with a product and a service together that works, but until then, it's just not going to happen. And Buck in the chat said, "I told you PSVR 2 was doomed, and you shot me down." Buck, you have a very weird way of interfacing with reality. I never said PSVR 2 was a guaranteed success or anything like that. I've always said that VR is niche and it will remain niche. And when you have expectations, because really this was, I think 270,000 copies in the first month is pretty good for new hardware, for a niche new piece of hardware that needs another piece of hardware in order to actually work. I think that's actually pretty good. But if they had expectations that were higher than that, but then their expectations were unrealistic.
See, agree.
And that happens all the time in this gaming industry. We see it all the time with Square Enix. their games sell pretty good, and they're just like, well, it didn't sell like Final Fantasy, so it's a failure. And it's just like, but is it Final Fantasy, stupid? And it's just like, no. What are you doing? It's just, what are you doing? It's silly. And I think that is the expectations of things need to be more realistic in the future.
Right. I agree. And before we keep it moving, yes, I am Forte's brother. So, and it's funny because I don't think we sound nothing alike.
I don't
That's around. You guys sound alike. The pitch of your voice is a little bit higher than Forte's, but you have the same cadence of speech. So that's why people say that.
So funny. So a quick 15-second story. So let's just say my brother might have been a ladies' man back in the day, and he may have had some very nice ladies calling the house. So I would put on, like you said, the deep voice, the sexy, smooth, like if y'all know his real name is Shannon. So don't punch me in the face. So they would call, and I saw the girl's number. I'm like, hey, this is Shannon. How you doing? Hey, Shannon, how's your night going? And she wouldn't even know. She wouldn't even know the difference. See, I'm good. I've just got off work. Get ready to set up my, a couple speakers. But how's your day going? Oh, it's going good. Tell me about your day. And I hear my brother in the background. Who the hell are you talking to? No, and my voice would drop. Nobody. And then he would take the phone from me and smack me or something stupid. But the statement is, even young ladies can tell us apart. So, but it's funny because I just don't hear it. But people say it all the time. So that's a quick little funny story about us.
It's great. All right. Well, man. All right. So we had some breaking news. We're going to get to the E3 topic after this. So, it looks like Wario.
You don't have the browser screen anymore.
I know, because when I redid my PC, I didn't make it.
Okay, we got to work on that later. My bad. Go ahead.
I'll do another one.
Laziness.
So, Xbox Game Pass. This is tweeted out by Wario, and if Wario tweets it out, it's probably a good chance this is.
That means it's pretty accurate. He doesn't care about being first.
Exactly. So Xbox Game Pass, share the fun of games. 1 month, $39.95 on a friends and family plan. What
$39.95?
What do we think?
$40?
$40. Now it doesn't show how many people.
Okay, wait.
5 people for 5 people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot. I think that's a lot of money
for $40.
But what if you don't have 5 people to put on a plan?
Well, family. I mean, you're like, okay, if you think about it, right?
Family.
Right. Like on my YouTube Premium, I got me, my brother, my wife, and both my kids. It's 5 people. So I guess it makes sense if you got it. I mean, family and friends. They put the family first. So, but to me, that is kind of steep.
I'm trying to apply it to my situation because I only have one of my children. My wife isn't a gamer. Only one of my kids plays games. So it's me and my son. Now he's a child account under my account. So he has access to Game Pass because I have access to Game Pass without actually having to have his full on like another subscription to Game Pass itself. He is getting to the point now though where like because the limitations of a child account, it doesn't kind of make sense anymore. So he might become a full on account soon. I'm trying to think of like this wouldn't even like okay if he doesn't even need Game Pass Ultimate because he only has an Xbox Series S. He doesn't have a PC.
Right.
This would benefit me none. It would be better for him to have his own account, $10 a month, and then I got my 15 Ultimate, and that's $25. So it's just like this. I'm not saying it's like something that like, oh man, it needs to be like some kind of plan that encompasses everybody. But for me personally, this would not benefit me at all.
See, no, I agree wholeheartedly. And I want to backtrack about 10 minutes because there was a really good super chat just now. So essentially, the comment just was, "Where is the commitment from Sony?"
Call out the name. How much was the super chat?
I'm sorry, it was $5. And is it Buck? B-U-K? Is that Buck?
Yes, Buck. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a rookie to this. Sorry. What up, big Buck? Thank you for the $5. So was that lame? Tell me if that was lame. I'll never do it again.
Good.
Okay. Where's the commitment from Sony? If some VR games were in the plus, I would have bought VR. But like MLB the show, God forbid Sony takes a hit for the consumer. We were talking about that earlier as well. That I actually made a very similar comment about giving more value with it and with VR games being in the plus membership. So I agree with you and thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. So, but back to this thing, to the family share. The value I think for most people wouldn't be there. We just talked about having multiple people in VR, right? Like having a group of people in your community there. I think who this makes sense for wouldn't even really buy it because I think, like you said, most families, the wife is in gaming or the daughter's in gaming. Maybe if a bunch of friends got together and a guy is super nice and bought it and then gifted it to 4 people to play with like his cousins or best friends from college or from work, I can see it that way. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I'm assuming that this program is doing good as it was. I'm pretty sure I heard some story a long time ago that the revenue from Xbox Live was almost what Sony made in profit. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, just what I've heard. But if it's already thriving, maybe this is just something they don't expect to move the needle, just an additional value to give people more options. So that's my take on it.
There's something people are saying in the chat. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look it up now on Twitter to see where like this came from. Was this officially something that came from Xbox itself, or is it like a screen?
It was leaked.
Okay.
Supposedly.
Okay,
leaked.
so that kind of changes my view on. I'm not quite certain whether this is going to be legit or not. That's one. Then so people are saying this like it's from New Zealand and convert that to like the US dollar and it's like $25 a month. If that's the case, that's awesome. Actually, that's a great price for a family of 5, $25 a month. That's great. I would do that and easily for me and my son because like I mean I did the math already for my son and it's $25 a month to keep him as a child account under my account. This way I can actually elevate him to his own account. He gets his own Game Pass. He's just connected to me, and then I can connect other people to it if I choose to, and that's fine for 25. It's just like, and it's even fine $40 a month if you legit have like 5 people that are all using Game Pass and playing all those games, and it's not just going to waste. I think $40 a month is actually not a bad price.
It gives you Ultimate too, so you're getting Xbox Live along with it.
And xCloud, which who knows who's really using it, but
who's using it?
Yeah, it just depends. Like it's not something that's going to work for everyone. As I said before, like you could have like I think Forte. I think you said your daughter plays games and your wife plays games too, right?
Yeah, she ain't gonna play nothing in Game Pass. She only plays Grand Theft Auto and Sims.
Okay, but Sims is in
Sims is
yeah because of the EA Play,
yeah,
right.
She already
But
owns it all.
But if you let's say for an example, your wife is using it a lot and your daughter, and then let's say another like your brother your brother wants to jump on it. That's 4 people for $40 a month. And if your brother's just like, man, I'll Venmo you $10 a month. I don't care. Like that's a pretty good deal. But it really just depends on the everyone's family dynamic.
Right.
And not everyone's dynamic is going to be the same. And so I can already see if this turns out to be the actual like concrete price for everything, like a lot of the various narratives that people are going to have. Oh, it's too expensive. What are they doing? Stupid Microsoft. And it's just like, you don't have to do it. It's not like they increased the price from $15 a month to $40 a month and you have no choice. Right. It's just, it's an option. And if it doesn't work for you, then you don't do it.
Yeah, that's true. So, like you said, we really don't know. I mean, it's just interesting that this just popped up. So, I do want them to hurry up and announce this because they are going to do a conversion plan where if you already have Game Pass and you want to switch it over, that you'll be able to convert some of it over. Of course, you won't get 1-to-1. It'll probably be something like 1-to-3. So for like every 3 months you have, you'll get 1 month of family. The only thing that kind of sucks, like you said, me and my brother would be in a scenario where we would do that because he game shares with me on PlayStation, but he has his own he has his own Game Pass account with 3 years on it because I told him how to get the 3 years before they took away the dollar deal.
Let's go.
So it's good, like you said, it's going to benefit everybody in a different way. But let's just hope that sooner or later Microsoft decides to actually talk about this and stop beating around the bush when it comes to
because this has been rumored for
a long time at this point.
Yeah, like at least 6 months or something like that.
Yeah. So
do you ever share those deals with your community? You guys, like how I don't know. I think Slow-Mo, he got me like my Xbox Live Ultimate expires like 2026. And so what is that? Like I got like 3 years. I got it for like $60 or something like that.
Yeah, like you got the max. Well, you can get up to max 3 years. I mean, this is something that's been going around the community for a while now. I can tell you right now, there's probably and shout out to the 55 people that are in the chat. Of those 55 people, it's probably at least 3 or 4 people inside that chat that's got max Game Pass right now. At least.
Let's go. Hashtag money in your pocket.
You might as well take advantage of it. So if we hear more about that, we'll let people know. But moving on to the next topic, let's talk about E3 and the cancellation. It's over. It's official. Sega pulled out. Everybody else. Oh my god.
Okay, thank you.
So how do we feel about this, man? I mean, we as soon as Sega pulled out, the only ones left was pretty much Square Enix and Konami. So could they have put a show on? Yeah, but they decided to just shut the show down. So how do we actually feel about it now that we know this is actually it for E3, at least this year? Well, how do we feel about it?
Well, let's get
it's been a wrap.
3 seconds, moment of silence for E3.
All right.
Let's go.
All
right, cool.
That's all they get. Go ahead, Slow-Mo.
Yeah, it's been a wrap for E3. Like I've been saying this for 2 years now that E3 is done. That it wasn't going to come back, and it's not coming back because of the pandemic. It's not coming back simply because all of these publishers realize they can save themselves millions of dollars by doing their own show and not doing the waiting and trying to force all their developers to crunch and get a vertical slice or a trailer or something slick looking to put on the show for June. And they can come up with their own timetable and do their own show whenever it's more convenient for them. All that stuff is a factor, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is that the ESA wasn't listening to these publishers. The ESA, for those that don't know, is the organization. It's a nonprofit organization. It's an organization that was created to be a lobbyist for the video game industry in lobbying their interests with the American government. They started creating E3. And the very first signs that when this was starting to go bad started to happen when the ESA told all the publishers that we were going more towards a very celebrity focused interest with E3 and less focus on what apparently some of them wanted to focus on, which was the games. Because of this conversation and because of this decision is when PlayStation, Sony, and EA said they were no longer interested in doing E3. And so what EA started doing then was doing their EA Play Access, which was like a all day thing that they would stream, but it didn't have anything to do with E3. Sony started doing their, whatever the heck they're doing. They haven't come up with a showcase in over a year now. I'm gonna keep saying they needed to correct that as soon as possible. But regardless, they were done then. Microsoft, even though they got their own building across the street, was very loosely connected to E3. E3 could say, yeah, we still got Xbox, but really it's just because they kept their event around the same time period that they used to have it at E3. Nintendo had been checked out. So they do their direct sometimes around that time period and sometimes they don't. So it's just, that was the beginning of the end. In addition to them exposing all the games media's information and getting them all doxxed by weirdos. Like the ESA's mismanagement of E3 is what killed it. It wasn't because of all the other stuff that if they were able to adapt and had smart management, they could have survived that stuff. They could have adapted things, made things a little bit simpler. Maybe not make it the big Super Bowl of video games extravaganza that it used to be, but still make it work. But because they didn't try to adapt to how the world changed, in addition to really screwing up some very basic things, like how about you not post all of the gaming media people credentials who you forced them to give up publicly on your website and then say you got hacked. You didn't get hacked. You put that up. No one hacked you. They just logged into a web page and said, oh wow, look, here's Alonda Pierce's email and phone number. Thanks. Like, hello, that was stupid. And so when you do stupid things, you do stupid stuff, you win stupid prizes. Stupid prizes that E3 is done. Now they actually tried to have it managed by an outside company, the same company that does Gamescom this year, but it's just too late at this point. Ubisoft said they were coming, and then 2 weeks later, Ubisoft said, "Nah, be good, bro. We're gonna do our own thing.
Right.
Be good, bro." You don't have Xbox, you don't have PlayStation, you don't have Nintendo, you don't have Ubisoft. You don't have Bethesda, who used to do a show, because their show's now tied into Xbox's show. None of the other major publishers do a show.
Yeah.
Maybe Capcom, Devolver Digital does some weirdo thing, but it's just like, is that enough? It is great, but there's also like an appetizer, a side dish. It's like having mac and cheese, but you don't have just mac and cheese for dinner. You need some protein in there. And they ain't got no protein. The show, it's a wrap. It's done. It's unfortunate. I don't like seeing people on the internet pretending as if people are celebrating it. The only person celebrating this is Jeff Keighley,
basically.
Because he ain't got no competition to his trash summer games of, what is it, Summerfest of Games or Summer Games Fest, whatever the heck it's called.
It's called Summer Games Fest. And hearing people say that, he's, pioneering this and that, I was like, yeah, but that thing's trash too. But yeah, it is what it is.
It's really bad.
It's really bad. Forte.
You should see an extra name there, is you?
Mr. Eternal living eternally. What is it? Living. What
Keith. For those again, so K Live stands for my first initial, which is K, Keith. So it's Keith living in victory eternally.
Jesus Christ!
Put some respect on my name.
I got much respect in your life. So K Live. What are your thoughts on E3, man? What did you think? How do you feel about it?
Man, I'm hurt. I mean, even though it was a dream of mine when I was younger, to go. If you remember, Natakale, when we were in our early 20s, we planned on going, right? Getting one of the best packages. They had like different type of levels of access you could get. So for me, I think the event isn't as important as the camaraderie, like the people you would meet at the event, fellow gamers. It's like camping out for the first PlayStation or PS2 and building connection with people in line, right? And when people who go there are hardcore gamers, even if they're casual gamers, they love the industry. So I think it lost a lot of the shock and awe that it had from the early years, where with the humongous monster reveals where people are like standing up and cheering for, the Halo 2 gameplay. And, when they first announced like that Killzone trailer, people were like, oh my God, is that gameplay? Is it CG? Is it gameplay? Is it CG? No one really knew. So it's like those shock and awe moments are fleeting and so far and few between. I think it took some of the lackluster off of it because everything's online to be streamed now. Like a lot of times, what the show's going to be before it even starts. You can kind of take a guess on what's going to be there based on the community. So I'm hurt. Like I understand it kind of going away this year. because that dollar value that these companies spend to be there is insane, right? Like it's insane. And what is the return they get for that, in regards to marketing and market share when they try to recoup, that investment? Did the games hit hard enough to get the pre-orders up? So I'm mixed on it. Like I see the business aspect of it, but I do believe sometimes you have to take a loss to, keep your base and your brand prevalent, right? So I work in telecoms, and there's stores that my company kept open even though they weren't profitable, but just for market presence, if that makes sense. Like this store is not profitable. You ever drive by, let's say Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile store, like nobody's ever there. Like it's two people in there, right? It's probably costing Verizon 30 grand a month to keep that store open to generate $2,000, but it's market presence that matters. So I think whoever comes out and gets E3 going back and hits really, really, really hard, that market presence will equal market share and will equal pre-orders, right? So happy and sad. I was kind of an all-over answer, but overall, I'm sad that it's gone because it was something that hopefully does come back, and not to kill me, you can live that dream and go 1 year.
Yeah. I agree. I just think it's hard now with the fact that you can go straight to consumer, and this was something
Correct.
that
Yep. Agreed.
You got. Why don't y'all go to PAX? Like one of the PAX things.
Oh no, PAX is going to be the default change now.
Yeah, it's not going to be as extravagant as E3 once was with the conferences and the pageantry.
See, but the way I see it, it's like, PAX is cool, and it's more like I think that was more like where the developers are there, right? Like they're kind of like the publishers are there. But that's
but
like saying
they do cater to the audience. And look, like I've never been to a PAX. I want to go at one point, but like a lot of the people that we know that go there, they're like it's almost to the point where it's like developers are begging gamers to come take a look at their game.
It doesn't hit as hard, and this is my ignorance because I'm not very up on PAX. Like I just see kind of the highlights from YouTube, but it's almost like E3 is the Lexus and PAX is the Honda Accord. Like it's still good cars, but it's not the Lexus, if that makes sense. And again, that's a layman's opinion. I may be crazy wrong. I don't want people in the chat to flame me. So that's just my thoughts, not a fact.
Yeah. I see what you mean. It's the games aren't as it's not the big AAA what the latest and greatest stuff that's gonna but it is like I think it's probably a higher quantity of games and less foot traffic because when they open E3 up to you listen to a lot of the games media that was a part of E3 before it got opened up to the public. They loved E3. And then
Chip said something fire. That's true. In the chat, he said PAX West is always lit. He said everybody is there. They will literally, but the developers, I'm assuming that you just talked about, he said the developers will literally call you over to play their games, their products.
Yes.
If that's true, that's fire.
PAX East is the same exact way. They will you will. I've seen a shout out to Sincere Go Chain Gamer who said that when he went the last time he went to PAX East, it was almost kind of like you're at the mall and you got those kiosks in the middle of the mall and they just like staring you down because as soon as they make eye contact with you, they're gonna try to get you to come over and try whatever the heck they're trying to sell.
Right.
And it's like almost like that. Like they want people to try their games. And if you're like a fan of games in general, just like, yeah, you can end up really spending a lot of time trying out people's demos and game experiences. Some of it may be trash and some of it might be like, man, this might be the next big thing. And I've seen some games blow up where people that we knew who were content creators went to PAX and played it and was like, hey, yo, look out for this game. When this game comes out, when they draw up that trailer, you'll see. And I think it's something like they had that at E3 too, but the lines were super long, and some of the complaints that we would see from the games media was, man, like I used to be able to see everything I needed to see in one day, and now I can only really hit like two things because of the long lines and these smelly gamers out here that stink.
That BO.
stinking up the whole place.
He said it
and
stinks.
then I got an appointment with a publisher that I interview that I can't miss. So I gotta get out of the line that I waited in for 40 minutes so I can do this interview, only to get back in line if I want to actually try that again. And it's like I can understand a lot of people not really want to deal with that. And I think some of those problems have been alleviated by just better management. And it's just a little too late for E3 because Gamescom, I remember being shocked that Gamescom, which happens, I think Gamescom takes place in Germany, I think.
Yeah, it does.
But Gamescom gets probably double the number of people coming to it that E3 does.
Yeah. Cool.
And yet somehow they don't have these issues. And I think it's partially due to just better management. Hey, look, you know how you go to amusement park and you waiting in line to get on that roller coaster, and there be them people that got that stupid pass around their neck, just you just walking right past you to get in front of the line.
Yeah.
Just make that certain people in games media. They get the cut line. And it's not like everybody gets to do it. If you big enough, you got like a massive YouTube channel or something. You are well known enough. You're a reviewer or something. You work for IGN or GameSpot or whatever. All right, you get a pass. You ain't got to wait in line. You're good to go. I mean, but why did it take so long? I think they finally did implement something like that. But like, why did it take you so long to get there? Like, I think it's kind of like a no-brainer kind of decision. But
yeah.
Right.
Agree. Yeah. Not game related. I know we're about to keep it moving, but just know those passes are like an extra like $10 a person, and it's worth every single cent. You think, oh my God, they're a big baller. They're not. You know, if they're going to offer that to you, they don't even upsell you at Disney World to get that because they want to inform people to ask. So just know that it's super cheap to get those passes to skip the line. Dumb cheap. Just know that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did that last time I took my kids to Universal. And we waited in line for one ride, and I was like,
right back to the front.
Yeah, I need to get 5 of these. I wasn't waiting. We actually about to go back to Disney, not Disney, but just like Florida and Orlando in general this summer. At some point this summer, trying to get it sorted out. So.
# smart shopping.
All right, so before we move on, favorite E3 moment, slow-mo.
I'm gonna say Final Fantasy VII remakes reveal.
Okay, that was pretty good.
That was I almost passed out, man. I was like, what? Because like it was like I was looking at it, like that looks amazing. Kind of looks like Midgar. Like when they first started it, and it was like and then I'm kind of looking and everything. It hit me. I think I saw a portion of like Barrett, and I was like, my eyes got big, and I was like, no, it can't, because I've been like waiting for them and campaigning for them to do a remake of Final Fantasy VII or 6. I would have preferred 6 because I think it's the superior game, right. But I've been waiting for a while. But then it's like when they show the back of Cloud and you see the Buster Sword, is when like the pop hit and like the whole audience realized what they were looking at. Mm-hmm. It was just like, yeah, this is it. This is it. Like, and it being that's all they had to show for Sony to be like crowned the quote unquote winner of E3 that year. That they had the Final Fantasy VII remake, even though it didn't come out for like another 6 years after that or whatever. You know, regardless, it doesn't matter. In the moment, it was awesome.
Right. K Live, what was yours?
Oh man. Okay. I'm sorry. I got 3. Might be short. So in order, first, no, let me work backwards. 3, Super Mario 64. When they landed, when the first stage opened up and they panned the camera around, it was 3D, and you realize you could literally go anywhere and swim. So that was 1. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. This is dope. So 2, when Master Chief, Halo 2, when he dual wield.
Oh, yeah.
He's the first time he pulled out, and everybody was like, oh, that was dope. And then
I think my favorite part of that reveal is when he picked him out the ghost. Oh my God!
Yes, when he jacked the ghost.
I was like, no, you can jack ghosts now. That was great.
Yeah, that was the pinnacle for me.
Yeah, That was it.
What's
So,
yours?
okay, so I only have one, and it will always stick with me. It's of course it's a Halo one. When Master Chief was in the hangar, it was the E3 before. It was like the teaser.
You mean the I wish Xbox could do graphics like this trailer.
Yes,
I got
the
you.
I wish Xbox could do graphics like this. And he was standing in the airlock, and the bomb went out, and he went flying out with it. And all I remember is, and they showed at the very end of it, they said, "See more next year." And I watched, Keith, you remember I watched that trailer, because this is when we lived on the west side of Detroit. I watched that trailer 1,000 times over the course of that year, just with anticipation of what was going to happen at E3 that next year, bro. That trailer was like by far the most impactful thing I've ever saw at E3. And of course, there's been other great looking things that I've been super impressed with, but that was like I said, Halo is like my favorite franchise of all time. And that was part of it. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. And then and then the next year is when we got the trailer that you guys were talking about can you stick it? Can you, like, the plasma, can you stick it?
No, bet you can't stick it.
Yo, bet you can't stick it. And then he just, you're on.
Exactly.
It was so not only did that trailer or that reveal do something for the year before, it led to what you guys said is one of your favorite moments of E3 the next year. It just lets you know how impactful marketing was back then. And that was just my favorite experience of all time. And
they're afraid to do that now.
They so afraid to do stuff like that now, man. It's crazy.
But you know what's wild, and it just kind of brought it back up to me. I was in college when all this was going on, right? So I'm in college. And I remember right after E3 going to GameStop and saying I want to put my pre-order in for Halo 2. And I put my pre-order in.
Yeah.
And it was so early back then. I don't know if you guys still do this or not, but you get a number. So I got like a number for the midnight pickup thing up. So my number was 7. And then, like, I mean, time goes on. I'm still in college and everything. And then, like, I think I may have been on my, how long did it take from the announcement to the game releasing? I can't remember. I know behind the scenes, we've all heard the stories that Bungie was like, I mean, it was like chaos.
It was chaos all the way to the finish line.
Right. But, like, I can't remember the time period, but all I know was my receipt was so worn out that I went into GameStop, was like, can you reprint me a new receipt? Because I can't even read this no more. And so they was like, yeah, no problem. I got like still another fresh receipt that showed when my time was. All I remember was the day I got this steelbook copy, and I think they were giving out like a poster, a Halo 2 poster
yeah.
And there was so many people waiting in line. It was a GameStop inside of the mall, like right down the road, lit. and the people were waiting outside of the mall. That's how long the line was. And I remember just kind of scrolling past everybody, just like, "Hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's up? How you guys doing? How long you guys been out here? Oh, all day? That sucks." I showed up at like 11:40.
Get right in my spot.
I was like, yeah, I'm number 7. Like just strolled up there. I loved it. It was great. Got my steelbook copy, and I think I may have played. I may have missed like 2 days of classes because I was just playing that just nonstop for the longest.
Listen, man, and then 3 years later, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Well, 4 years later, Modern Warfare 2 came out. It was my first year at GameStop. And I've never seen a line as long as that line was for a midnight. That night, we had 638 people picking up that game at that store.
That's crazy.
600. Like Modern Warfare 2. Now, remember, Modern Warfare 1. Whoo! It was a wrap. 2 came out. They did the AC 130 video that they posted online, and everybody went out and pre-ordered that game. And I swear to God, that midnight was the most like Halo 3's midnight was epic. This was something like just from a sheer amount of people at one location. No lie. We had because we gave the numbers out still. We were at 693 when we were done.
Crazy.
And we were at the store to 4:30 a.m. that night giving that game out. It was insane. But yeah, it's just good to know that just think about it. As much as we talk crap about Halo, it was like one of the most amazing times of our lives, and I think that's why a lot of people feel the way they feel about Halo Infinite, and why they're upset at kind of what happened with the game, because us being the age that we are, older, that was our childhood. So it's I mean, hopefully E3 can make a comeback at some point, and hopefully next year it's a lot better and they get some type of support. But as long as these companies can go direct to consumer, it's going to be a little bit harder,
right? Because it's way more gamers out there today than it was back then in the early 2000s, which we were reminiscing about. And you don't see these midnight releases for games like that anymore. And if they do them, it's not that many people that's showing up for it, because the vast majority of people are just buying the game digitally.
Right.
Like myself. I ain't going nowhere. I'm not buying no physical copy, man. I'm good.
All right. Well, moving on to the next topic. Let's talk about Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and let's talk about the man Mark Dara coming back to BioWare as a consultant. And I have the actual statement here from EA where they were talking about this. They say, our studio is focused on creating the best Dragon Age Dreadwolf while the core Mass Effect team continues their pre-production work. BioWare's general manager in the statement also announced that they wanted to continue and integrate the polished Dreadwolf, focusing on things that matter to fans the most as we further connect with new experiences with the series. Legacy Mark Dara will join the team as a consultant, bringing with him years of experience working on Dragon Age. We're proud to have him with strong leadership at the helm, working together to realize the vision of this game. With the help of the Mass Effect team, helping along with this game because their game is still early in pre-production.
This is so bad, man.
So the thing I want to ask you,
this is some horrible news. This is the last thing I wanted to hear.
Yes, so that's what I wanted to ask, because you being a Dragon Age main, now this game has been in post-production since September. They're bringing over the Mass Effect team to finish this, help get this game across the finish line, because their game is.
What does that remind you of? What does that remind you of?
Another EA
reminds
game.
You of Anthem, right?
It reminds me of another EA game.
When the Dragon Age team had to stop making their game to go help the Anthem team finish their game.
To help finish their game.
Okay, you Mark Dara left BioWare under mysterious circumstances. Some people say he was fired, forced out. Some people say he just quit because he got sick of EA or whatever. But then you bring him back as a consultant. And there's something that I saw. And I don't know if it was the same article that you just read or something else. Maybe it's something else. But it was like internally, the reason why he was brought back was to make sure that Dreadwolf had the essence of Dragon Age.
Mm-hmm. The game's already done, though. They could already do a full playthrough of the game. So what is he fixing?
Exactly. It's like from the gameplay that I saw that looked nothing like Dragon Age to them. Your former director, I've never heard of this before. The former lead director comes back as a consultant of the same game that he was directing
before.
It's one thing like when even though it may have helped. We don't know how the game really was, but Halo Infinite, for example, when they brought in Joseph Staten to be a consultant on Halo Infinite, and then he eventually took over for development of it. But Joseph Staten wasn't like that lead director that first started. It was Chris. It was
Chris
someone
Lee.
before Chris Lee. Chris Lee was a director, but it was someone before him too. But to bring back the guy that was already one of your directors to begin with to consult, because you want to make sure it is capturing the essence of Dragon Age. Mark Dara has done Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, Awakenings, and Inquisition. If you gotta bring him in to try to get the game to capture the same feel as those previous games, that kind of tells me the game don't feel like a Dragon Age game at all. It's I'm not very optimistic. You know, I'm not saying it's definitely going to bomb, but just yeah.
See, you coming at it from the and I feel for what you, because you are beyond a Dragon Age fan. So I know this news really
I've
hurts.
played through the entire series at least 5 times.
Yeah, so I know this really hurts you more, and it's not the fact that Dara is back on it, because a lot of us wish he would have never left in the first place. But when I read that this game was already in post-production since September, I'm like, well, what is he fixing? Because if the game is already done, it's not like it's not like Halo where they delayed it for an entire year. This game is going to come out, probably not soon, but relatively not a year later. It's going to probably be something that's going to be towards the end of this year. So what could he really be doing? But for me, the one thing that kind of ticked me off a little bit, and I understand why, because like you said, the same thing happened with Anthem when it came to this team having to come over and help that. But it also put the Dreadwolf team behind. Why you think they were, struggling with production for a while? Because they had to come off their project to help somebody else finish their project. Now, now
you're doing the same thing to the Mass Effect
doing
team.
The same thing to the Mass Effect game. And
they never learn from their mistakes. Like,
so the Mass Effect team's going to be behind now. Then we find out today, or find out during this article, that the Mass Effect team, they're still in pre-production. So we were under the assumption that, like, we knew the game wasn't coming out anytime soon, but we was like coming to the assumption that, we're gonna probably get the chance to see something about Mass Effect soon, probably in like the next year or so. It sounds like we're not going to see, especially with news that they're going to be helping with Dreadwolf. We may not see anything about Mass Effect probably for 2 years. At least see something. So this is just bad all the way around, and that's what upset me more than anything, because I like Dragon Age, but I love Mass Effect, and this is just bad all the way around. K-Live, I know you love Mass Effect. I don't know how you feel about Dragon Age, but what do you think about bringing back the creative developer and making them a consultant on the game that's pretty much already done to fix something that probably should have been fixed years ago?
Ooh. Well, so the last Dragon Age game I played and beat was Inquisition, which was, a blast. I loved it because I'm an action RPG guy as well. But I think that disrespects the team that made the game. It's almost like, if you pull your heart and soul into something and it's pretty much complete, and you bring someone in and like, okay, let me coach you after the fact. Like, dude, you weren't here, right? Like kick rocks. Like it's a slap in the face to me. And this guy wants to, give feedback to an entire team that he wasn't part of the creative process. He wasn't part of the storyboarding. He wasn't part of the story. And BioWare games, story heavily driven, right? So it's like, I don't like it. Now, I'm not super invested in the franchise as a whole, so my input is limited. But I do not want a repeat of any game like what happened with Mass Effect, where you're pulling resources and you're making changes, when the product is done. So I don't have a ton of input, but that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he was a part of he's always been a director on the Dragon Age games. This is probably his first time being lead director when he was lead director on it before he left BioWare. But like as far as I don't think he's not coming in super like fresh to everything they were doing. Like I can see him like, well, the last time I was here, you guys were doing this with the story, and this was going to be the ending, and this character was going to die here, and then maybe you
like, what
guys,
happened?
yeah. So like,
What
oh, you changed that? Well, why'd you guys change that? Oh, because like I can see him like wanting to be there just to be like, okay, I'm playing the game. Does this feel like a Dragon Age game? Does it? Because like this Mark Dara, if you go look, he has a YouTube channel, and it's a really good YouTube channel. I think it's pretty small because he's not like the most well known developer out there, but he's a very good videos that are very insightful that talks about like game design and like he'll bring up stories about his time with BioWare and the various games that he's worked on even prior to the Dragon Age series. He has a lot in store, like to really like, and he'll even do like let's plays where he'll. I remember him playing through Dragon Age Origins and just talking about some of the stuff that's in the game. Like I remember this one episode where he was talking about they were called the Blackstone Irregulars, which was like this militia that's in the game. And there's this whole little side content thing that people really enjoy from it, where it's like they ask you to first they're asking you to deliver packages, and then next thing you know, they're asking you to deal with some deserters, and then you find the deserters, and they're like, "Hey, look, man, they lied to you. There's some stuff going on you don't quite understand." And you can choose to kill them or choose not to kill them, but like where the story goes. And he's like, yeah, that was like 3 guys that did that story. They just kind of threw that into the game near the end of development. We were just like, oh, okay. It was just like some of the like his stories from the like these games and how they were developed are like so good that it gives a lot of context to what's going on. But like he knows that series intimately, so sure, like if he's allowed to, I hope it's not like essentially the way things were with Joseph Staten, where Joseph Staten was brought in to be a consultant and help fix Halo Infinite, but what are you really asking him to do? Because when he tells you the game needs to be delayed because the campaign is awful, and they're like, we ain't delaying the game. We want this to be the launch game for the Xbox Series X and S. And then you show the game and it's a disaster. And then they're like, okay, let's delay it. Then he tells you we need to delay the game again because the multiplayer doesn't have content. We said ray tracing would be in it. It's not there. We promised co-op would be in the game, and we would never drop another Halo game without co-op. It ain't there. Game's not ready. And they're like, nope, we gotta make the anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
yep, we gotta make the anniversary.
Why bring him in if you're not gonna listen to what he's telling you?
True.
And so when it comes to Mark Darrow, I hope it's not just he's just there as a PR piece to kind of appease Dragon Age fans like myself. Oh, they brought Mark Darrow back. It's going to be okay. Is it though? Are you? If he told you this entire story sucks, it feels nothing like Dragon Age. All these characters are awful. We need to junk half of this. Just completely eliminate some of these characters, retool them, whatever. It's going to take like a year and a half or 2 years. Is the EA going to be like, hey, you know what? He's right. Let's get it done. Let's do it. Or they're going to be like, all right, Mark, thank you for your contribution. We appreciate your thoughts on this, and goodbye now. So let's go ahead. We're going to launch this at the end of 2023. Like, it's just, what are you really doing with this consultant stuff? I don't know. Like, I hope it's good, but I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. Well, This topic, this next topic made me laugh because I've been feeling this way for a while.
You
Shout
saw this
out.
article
I
too,
saw
huh?
this. I saw who.
And no, it was a comment. It was a
It was
comment.
a
Yeah, it was a
comment, but I
comment.
saw the
Yeah.
person who tweeted who the comment was on, and I was like laughed when I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely believe this. So there was a comment. Everybody, if you don't know, there's third-party devices called Zims and Cronus Maxes. It gives you the ability to be able to mod and change settings on your controller, be able to hook up keyboard and mouse to your console if it's not a native input for your system, and it allows you to be able to get the edge in games that it supports, like Destiny.
It allows you to load up profiles where you can basically have an aimbot.
You have aimbot basically on your game. And there was a person on Twitter, shout out to Gigs, Connor. He was like a huge Destiny player, Apex player and everything. He said, I used to think M&K, which is mouse and keyboard, and controller balancing in Destiny was the best of any mixed input game. And I definitely agree with that. However, the current meta is very controller dominant. I think this is due to controllers getting buffs with SMGs, which are really, really strong in Destiny right now, while M&K is heavily impacted by sniper zoom and mid-air accuracy nerfs. And then the homie Sheaf, DFK, Destiny Fun Police, responds to it with a comment. It says, dude, the meta has gone beyond mouse and keyboard or controller. Half these kids are running around with Zims and Cronus Maxes. It's literally a third-party device meta. It's so weird. I 100% agree with this comment.
Now, Destiny does not even have a competitive scene.
Doesn't.
It doesn't. There are no esports leagues for Destiny. Now imagine for a game that has no esports leagues having an issue with people using Cronus and them and any other edge they can get that is basically cheating.
Basically.
How bad do you think it is in Halo that has esports? Call of Duty that has esports? Any other competitive shooter?
Yeah.
But people want to act like, oh, it's just those PC guys cheating. It's just those PC guys. Sometimes I gotta wonder about y'all. Yeah, y'all do so much talking about PC and ignore what's going on your own platform. Why is that?
Yeah, and
why don't y'all want to care about who's using the Cronus? Interesting. I'm not accusing nobody, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And another big Destiny streamer, he says, I legit wonder how many folks are doing this, and if Bungie is considering doing what Fortnite is doing, or is it not a issue in their eyes? And then Sheik comes back and says, it's a lot of people. The funny thing is, I believe the SMG meta is the driving cause of it, because the skill gap with those weapons is so non-existent. People are trying to get an edge via devices. To care enough to do this is so sad, but it is a huge issue. And part of the reason I definitely agree with this statement is I work at GameStop. I, on a weekly basis, I won't go as far as a daily basis, but I will say a weekly basis, get at least 5 to 10 inquiries about, hey, do you got a Cronus Max? Hey, do you have this? Where can I get a Cronus Max from? Do you guys have one? Because we do sell them. They're $100, but I'm always out of stock of it. So we can always order them and ship them to people. Cronus actually came out with a graph talking about how many they sold, which was up in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them as of late last year. So there is a lot of these out there. And the funny thing is, how would you feel if you're playing a first-person shooter and you're just having fun and you just get crapped on consistently over and over, and you know you're not as bad? You're not that bad. I know I'm not as bad as these other people.
Killer. That's a community and game killer when you feel that way.
Yes, because to me, like, I feel like if I feel like I'm losing fights and I'm doing the best I can do to try to do better at the game, but I see a person doing a bunny hop because it's a setting on a Cronus Max that allows you, as long as you keep your aim straight, the controller will automatically make your character crouch up and down, which makes you a harder target to hit. Like, I'll literally watch somebody come around a corner and they're bunny hopping, and I'm like, yo.
And what that comes from is like, I mean, you'll see people in Call of Duty doing drop shot, which is, you know, somebody come around the corner, you do a drop shot to try to make it, you know, so that person's not getting a headshot on you while you're also trying to accurately hit them at the same time. Like, you see stuff like that, and it's like, if you can pull that off on a controller accurately, great. But when people are getting it like as a macro, and then so they're not actually even doing anything to actually make it happen, they're just pulling the trigger, and it's aiming for them, you're cheating. Like, it is what it is. Just you're cheating. You know, like, I think the most that I would go is have an elite controller where I will map on the paddle something that I find awkward and uncomfortable to press, but it makes it easier for me to actually press the button. You know, like, for example, melee in Halo. I put melee on my off of the right thumbstick and onto my bumper, because sometimes when I get into gunfights, I may accidentally melee while I'm shooting at someone. It almost guarantees I lose the gunfight at that point, because they haven't stopped shooting, but I did. And while I'm waiting for the animation to complete, I'm dead. And so I take it off of there completely, put it on my bumper, and when I melee, I'm meleeing because I actually chose to. And so, like, you know, but that's just me. Not everyone needs to do that. But when you got like when on PC you're installing wall hacks where you're seeing people, and then, like, especially in like Call of Duty, you look at the instant replay and you can see them tracking you through the wall.
Yeah.
Blatantly tracking you through the wall and shooting you as you turn a corner. Or you know, like the aimbots where they're just, I've seen it in some games where they're barely even turned in your direction, and there's no way they should have been able to see you, but they just barely catch you through the corner, and then now it's an automatic headshot. Or if I'm playing Road Company and I dodge roll to miss someone's gunfire, and he still hits me with a headshot while I'm upside down dodging to the left. It's like, yeah, that's not normal. Like when you know, when you play a game long enough, what is to be expected and what's not to be expected, what's unusual behavior. And there's one thing, like, I won't even like report someone that they do it once, right? It's the repeated, like, epic shot you got off that keeps happening. It's just like, so you're always hitting the headshot, even when I'm dodge rolling, or even when I'm sliding away from you, or even like you're always getting the headshot. Yeah, that's not that's not normal. That's not typical. And so I don't understand the way people are now, but it's just like everyone seems to be doing something. And I would love it for things to get back to, you know, I remember back in the day people would cheat, like even on like original Xbox with back in the day with Halo. I remember seeing people like on a map in Halo standing behind a wall, and their bullets were going through walls and hitting people. So they had wall hacks in addition to all kinds of other stuff. They mod their Xbox. They got all this stuff, right? It's not like it hasn't. It's a new thing. It's always been there, but it just seems like it's far more prevalent now than it was back then.
It's more accessible now.
Yeah, and it's
is it cheating if everybody's cheating?
Yes.
Or is it just the standard?
It's still cheating. Because there's always going to be people who won't do it.
But so, what level of cheating do you accept?
Elaborate on that. So, what do you think? So, how do you feel?
I mean, here's the deal. this is cheating is not cool, right? Anything that, well, I can't say anything because here's my point, right? Is giving yourself an advantage cheating? Like, let me give you an example.
Yes.
If you have, but hold that thought. So is it cheating if you're playing on an 80-inch 4K 120 hertz screen and the person you're playing against on the other side of the screen is on a CRT with a HDMI to coax adapter and they can't even read the text? You have a fundamental advantage over them. When you're playing on PC, if you have an ultra wide, monitor that supports that, you literally have more screen, like not more screen, more actual visible game area to see. So it's a level of what level is cheating, right?
Okay.
Now,
I will define it for you. I will define it for you. When it comes down to pulling the trigger, did you actually have to aim and shoot at somebody to kill them, or did some program or macro or something do it for you?
Let me tell you why I love this guy.
Did you actually know, because you listened to the footsteps to know someone was coming around the corner, or did you see an outline of them on your screen as they were coming around the corner? Like these are like the levels. Like, of course, if someone wants to spend more money on hardware to have like the best experience, and yeah, okay, look, if you're playing on, I think it's actually proven that if you're playing on a monitor that has a higher hertz, you have a higher chance of being able to see, recognize, and get your shot off than someone who's playing on like a 60 hertz monitor. Like, it's been proven. They had Shroud, who's like, epic at first person shooters, go up against some random Joes. Shroud had a 60 hertz monitor. Those other guys had 240 hertz. They were keeping up with him. But as soon as they reversed it or they kept it on a even level, he absolutely like was blowing past them. So of course it can kind of close the gap if you're a bum, but you spend a lot of money on like the best monitor and having a controller that was zero latency because you're not using wireless, but maybe like everyone else is using wireless. Of course, you can kind of close the gap, but I think there's a difference between closing the gap and it's literally aiming and shooting for you. And with that, maybe you're pulling the trigger.
That's
aiming for headshots every single time for you. Like that's you are seeing people behind walls that you're not supposed to see.
No. Like listen, I agree with everything you're saying, but if you give someone an inch in anything competitive, right? And the majority of gamers are competitive. If you give someone an inch, they will take a mile. And again, this is factual. These are real numbers I'm about to give you. Real numbers. My son, who is 20, is like, he's insane at Doom. Like, so we're playing Doom. We're 1v1ing each other, right? With both on keyboard and mouse. We're both on our PCs with keyboard and mouse. He spanked me like 52-30, right? I'm like, okay, let's play that again because he was talking big smack. I can even spank you with a controller, right? So now he's on PC playing with a controller. I'm on keyboard and mouse, and I beat him like 42-17. Wasn't even close. And this is a kid that is way better than me. So now you take that outside of a family environment where it's people online playing for bragging rights, recording videos, talking to their friends. If you have an advantage with a keyboard and mouse, you have a controller, the other way around. If you have a controller, have an advantage with a keyboard and mouse. Now let me get this, extra device that will make me slightly better. And the next person does something that's slightly better. Then it's slightly better again. And at some point, you're not even playing the game. You're just watching. And that's just human nature. If there's an advantage, right? People will use them, and you will go as far as you possibly can until someone stops you, and that will never change, right? And that's
I don't think that's universal for everybody. I think for some people, they will keep trying to get an edge, regardless of how moral it is, until someone says, "Okay, that was a bridge too far. You took it too far with that." Like, I know that mouse and keyboard is more accurate than controller, but I just refuse to learn the movement. It's not like moving with mouse and keyboard using WASD. is just not intuitive for me, and I just refuse to learn it. So that's just me.
No, true story. When I first got my first gaming PC ever, I went to GameStop and I bought a controller, and the guy was like, "Why?" He looked at me like I was disgusting. He's like, "Why are you buying this?" Right? Use the keyboard and mouse. So it does get better, but I do want to, and even get on the topic, just to drive it home from my standpoint. I believe it's up to the developer of the game to dictate what's acceptable or not. And if they think using this add-on that tracks for you is unacceptable, come up with a formula that will ban people for that. Right? I have a Tesla, and I bought a steering wheel mount. It's like an accessory that acts like my hand is on the steering wheel. So that way, when I'm on the freeway, I'm gonna keep touching my steering wheel for autopilot to work. Last week, I'm driving my car, no BS. It literally said remove device on steering wheel. And I wasn't able to use autopilot for the rest of that drive. I was like, holy crap. So there's ways to figure out, what you're doing in the game on the servers. So I will let the developers dictate what's too much. And ultimately, like I just said when Natakale was talking, if you don't fix it, it becomes too extreme. It's a community killer and it's a game killer.
I agree with that. Definitely. Especially if you look at, like, I think Overwatch, for example. I think Overwatch Blizzard made a critical error when it came to crossplay with that game. Because, okay, so Overwatch 2 has aim assist, but only when you're playing between Xbox and PlayStation, or Xbox the Xbox. Now, they won't force you into a lobby with PC gamers, but if you're playing with someone who's on PC, let's say you're in your party, in your group, you got someone that's on PC, they're going to force you into a PC lobby. And when they force you into a PC lobby, they disable the aim assist. Now, I've always been of the mind, and Forte knows this, where I'm like, people make up excuses all the time on why they got bodied. And they always be like, man, it's the mouse and keyboard players. Oh, it's the controller guys with the aim assist. It's never, you just got dropped, homie. You just got beat. He was better than you in that match. Get over it. No, it's always something else, right? But enough PC gamers complain about about aim assist on controllers to get it so that Blizzard actually gives them an advantage. You recognize that controller was inaccurate enough that you needed aim assist to help people accurately shoot. But then, for some reason, against a more accurate device, mouse and keyboard, you decide to disable the one thing that allows people to accurately shoot on controller. What's the purpose? And I've yet to see anything from Blizzard that is remotely a good explanation on why they decided to do that. But in playing the game, if you're playing with somebody, if you have a controller, you're playing with some in a PC lobby, good luck.
Is that why you play? Because you play Call of Duty on. Well, you only can play it on Battle.net.
Yeah, I have it on, but there's no like cross. Like I own it on Steam and Battle.net. Steam was what I bought initially, and it was busted. And then I won the bet with you, and
I had to pony up. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, on Battle.net. I don't own it on anything else. On Overwatch 2 is free.
Yeah, it's free.
I have it on everything. I don't play it. If I do play it with people, I will play it on PlayStation or Xbox, where there's actually aim assist. And I don't care about playing against PC players, but you're not going to give me an intentional disadvantage and then be like, okay, good luck. No, I'm good. I'll just play it on console and then everyone we play with is on console, and so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's like on Call of Duty. There's a very, very strong aim assist in Call of Duty. Not so strong in Halo, but it's in Halo 2. But it's like, but they don't gimp one particular input method whenever there's crossplay enabled. Right. So I don't mind still just playing on PC like I normally do. whenever I'm playing those games. It's just you got to like. I brought up Blizzard because in K Live's I definitely understand this point where it's like what's cheating is dependent upon the developer, and I agree with that because every developer says that using Cronus is not
It's
is
okay.
not what they
No.
don't say it's
No,
okay.
I'm not saying, but their actions speak louder than words. Because they say it's not okay,
They're not banning it.
but they're not banning it.
Well, it's hard. Okay, so I'll bring up what happened with the division. So in Division 1, there was an issue where Cronus started to become popular and people were using it in the division. So there was a macro that people were setting up on their Cronus where they could speed up the fire rate of a gun. And so what they were doing, they were taking slower fire rate weapons which were balanced to do more damage than say a faster higher rate fire rate weapon in order to basically just delete people
Right.
in Dark Zone before they could do anything. And it was like you see someone running around with an AK and they're shooting at the fire rate of like MP5. Yeah, and it's just like that's not possible. And so Massive Entertainment, the developer, went into the logs and saw the people that were being reported and saw what they were doing and was like, yeah, that's cheating. And so they were banning people after the fact, but they could not detect the actual use of Cronus or Zim being used because as far as they're concerned, they were just getting from the console, this is a controller. And that's it.
Okay.
They're not seeing that there was a something being ran that was causing something to not work right. But they were essentially what it was doing in the division. The way the macro worked is that it was when they turned it on, it was making the game believe that they were actually using for like the example I made, an MP5. But what was actually in their hand was not an MP5, but an AK that does far more damage per bullet per second. And so, long story short, like when they had their state of the game, and this was getting loudly being brought up, and they were ignoring it. They were ignoring it because they didn't know how to block it. They didn't know how to stop it. And currently, right now, none of them know how to stop it, which is the reason why they don't outright be like, yeah, you guys are cheating or whatever, or outright banning. They don't know how to stop people from using it yet.
Right.
And with the division, they never figured out how to stop people from using it. They just started banning people after the fact when they got reported for it. And then people eventually stopped using it because, like it's a paid game. You get your Xbox account banned from playing it. You have to get a whole new account to play this game again. So this is part of the reason why I think that like games like Factions 2, when it comes out, needs to be a paid game and not a free to play game. Because you're going to deal with tons of cheaters if you have it free to play. Because they get caught cheating. Well, so what? I'll just make another free account, download your free game, and I'll just get back to cheating again. And instead of, oh man, I just wasted $40. Now I got to spend another $40 and as well as make a new account in order to get back to doing what I was doing before. It's not going to stop people from cheating 100%, but it's a deterrent because you got to keep spending money every time you get caught cheating. Eventually, you're just going to stop cheating or stop playing that game. But long story short, the big issue here is that they don't know how to stop it the way they can stop someone cheating on PC. There's software that they can run anti cheat software that it's behind the times, and the cheaters are ahead of it. But eventually they can get caught up and realize what people are doing on PC and block them, ban them from the game, which is why we see so often Call of Duty just banned 100,000 PC players, but you never see the numbers of them banning a bunch of console players because they can't detect them the way they can detect the PC people.
Yeah, I agree. Oh man, cheaters! I'm gonna cheat my way to the next topic. All right, so down to the last two, and these are more likely gonna be really quick ones. So former Playground developer, excuse me, former Playground developer.
Wasn't he the co-founder?
Yeah, co-founder. Yeah, you're right, co-founder.
Launches new AAA studio called Lighthouse Game.
Lighthouse Games. It was what was his name? Ruben or Rayburn. Rayburn, that's what it was. Yeah, co-founder Rayburn. He was basically just announced that he started a brand new studio called Lighthouse Games. He was like one of the co-founders of one of Xbox's most successful studios, which is Playground Games, that makes the Forza Horizon games. And it's been a lot of conversation over the course of the last couple of years with Xbox losing developers, going to make their own properties and IPs and stuff. Now, it is to be known that a lot of people did think that this is something that just recently happened. But
this actually happened a year ago.
This happened a year ago. He left over a year ago when he left Playground Games. He's just announcing the fact that he has started with the new studio and that he has the DNA from a lot of other people that worked at Playground Games, which makes sense because, people want to get out and they want to make other things. And, right now Playground Games is predominantly a racing studio with a second part of the team working on the Fable IP. So, Slow-mo, I'm gonna ask Kayla, I'm gonna ask you first. When it comes to developers moving on to other jobs and everything, do we think that is more of a systemic problem with Microsoft and not being able to keep developers, or do we just think developers just want to challenge themselves and do other things? In your opinion,
Man, I think the talent goes where the money is. Period. Money, culture, right? If you're leaving, a big tier studio to go somewhere else, either the culture is not there or your finances aren't there. And more importantly, it's probably the culture, right? You'll overlook certain financial things when it comes to, being a game developer or any job for that matter. But if the culture is not there, you're going to dip. If the culture is right, you'll tolerate a lot more. But for me, from just a strictly gamer standpoint, I would like to see people stay in one place because you learn the platform, you learn, the company you work for, you learn the hardware that you're working on. So the longer you get to work on a certain project with the same team, the quality goes up. This is kind of how it works. You master your craft versus when you go somewhere else, you have to learn a whole new platform, whole new process. So for, game consistency and longevity, I think, sticking around means more, but ultimately you have to do what's best for you as an individual and go where the money is and where the culture is.
That's a good point about culture, because that's the one thing, especially, and most people will point out Microsoft's culture when it comes to developing and managing their studios has been part of the problem. And that's why a lot of people think stuff like this happens, because Microsoft, it's not like they are a broke company, so money definitely probably more likely isn't the issue. So that's a good point right there. Slow-mo, what do you think about this?
I think this is something that we see often in not just the video game industry, but in the professional corporate work world in general. I'll take it to tech and IT, in the tech world that I work in. There was an entire team at my company that basically went away for multiple reasons, but the main reason they went away is because the work wasn't there for them to do anymore. And they were being paid their same salary, which is great. No one took their money away, but they weren't learning. There were two things. They weren't learning anymore, and there wasn't enough work for them to do. They were just sitting around all day doing nothing. So slowly, a team of 7, like the majority of them slowly just went and found other work to do that challenged them. There are a lot of people out there that are internally motivated. And when the work doesn't challenge them anymore, they gotta go somewhere and do what's best for them personally and professionally. And we see this in the video game industry where we'll see big, huge directors and people who've done great things for big AAA companies, and they have a lot of successes with a particular company, and then they move off and they go somewhere else and they do something new. They start a whole new developer. working on a different kind of thing they've never worked on before. Before Rayburn, it was Mike Brown, who was the lead director for Forza Horizon 5, who left, started Maverick Games, and he wants to make an open world game. He was doing racers before. Now he's doing the open world game. He even said it when he was being interviewed. I'm not really much of a racer guy. I like playing open world games. He's going to do something that he's passionate about. And like, I think we see a lot of like little fanboy narratives in the community whenever we see such stuff like this happen. Oh, there's and look, we've gone in on the drama that is
absolutely
Microsoft, first party stuff all the time. But like, this doesn't really rise to that. When we see a report internally with sourcing and detail that, hey, Playground's in trouble, Fable's in trouble, and here's why, and it's all being brought down, then we can have a discussion that like what's happening at Playground really. But here's a guy that left a year ago and has announced that he's starting a new studio now, and was so freaking what? Like this isn't uncommon. Devs leave Rockstar, start new studios. Devs leave Naughty Dog, Insomniac, Sony Santa Monica. Like, devs leave studios and then go work elsewhere to do other things that challenge them. Like, this isn't a shocker.
Yeah. No, I agree. When I first saw it, I was like, this just seems like a lot of people that are misinformed to the fact that this is something that happened over a year ago. And you build relationships with developers over the course of time being at a studio. He was there since 2010, so he was there 22 years. I mean, that's way too 12 years, and he left in 2022 at the beginning of the year. So he definitely probably recruited a lot of people from the studio to come over there. Plus, you got the transition of the studio going over to something like Fable. Who knows if that has something to do with it? Maybe he wanted to do something outside of just being Fable. Because remember the engine, the game that they were working on wasn't Fable at first. They were working on an open world game that wasn't Fable, and it was transformed into Fable because they wanted to bring Fable back, and that was the studio that they felt like they could do it with. So it could also just be a time of difference where they say, well, we wanted to make something special, something different, but they wanted to change it to something that was familiar to the Xbox family when it comes to Fable. Who really knows what happens behind the scenes on this? But like you said, people are motivated to always push forward and do something that challenges them, especially in this type of field when it comes to creativity, because you're only as good as the last thing you brought out. And and what they always tell you is you have to update your resume. You're only as good as the last thing you brought out. Your resume is always being updated. So that's what a lot of these people are doing, and I applaud them. Go out, making the studio. He's Blade X says he said he'll be probably making games for PlayStation in the near future. And guess what? That's the market leader right now, and that would be a good move. But never gonna hate on somebody doing something that's good for them. And I'm happy that he's making a studio that he can make the decision that he wants to make, and that's gonna be great for them in the future. But with that, I mean, it's really nothing else to really comment on because we don't know more. So hopefully we hear more about what the game's going to be in the future, in the next year or so, and champion him on to make him make the games he wants to make. But with that being said, we are on the last topic. We're going to talk about Microsoft one last time. They're ending the dollar deal, guys. The ultimate thing that everybody out here was like, man, the people on that dollar deal still. Well, Microsoft's like, well, that dollar deal is ending. We're not going to be doing that too much going forward. So hopefully you got your 3 years of Xbox Game Pass for $1. Well, not for $1. You still had to buy Xbox Live for 3 years, which was $180. It then boosted for $1. But Slow-Mo, starting with you. Do we think that this is going to really truly hurt the subscription number when it comes to Xbox, since everybody was on a dollar game supposedly?
As always, these things are kind of like, it's not black and white, it's a bit gray. I think it will hurt it a little bit, but not like oh no, it's really just 15 million people on Game Pass now after the dollar deal is over. I think there are some people who were definitely potentially creating a whole new account
Mm-hmm.
just to get them back on the dollar, because I thought they had already canceled, like, once your dollar term is up, you couldn't get back on with the same dollar, well, the same deal with the same gamer tag
You
or something like
couldn't.
that.
You couldn't.
Okay, so you had to create a whole new
You had to
gamer
make a
tag to
whole new
get
gamer
back on
tag.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that they saw people were doing that and was like, all right, well, you can't do it no more.
Can't do it no more.
Can't nobody get the dollar deal now, which I think I thought that was going away before this ABK deal got approved anyway. Because hey, look, man, we need this to make money, and I actually kind of feel like at some point soon the price for Game Pass is going to go up. All its tiers, regular Game Pass and Ultimate, will go up at some point. But they did it for 3 years. And I remember when we were first heard about it, it was you telling me about it and was like, and you were like, no lie, you can take your Xbox Live subscription and convert it into Game Pass for $1. And I was just like,
What?
that's not real.
It was real.
And I was like, because I already had it paid up for like 3 years. So I was like, wait, I can do that? And I was literally it was just literally $1. I was like, expires in 2022, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, all right, well, let's do it. Let's do it. And why? Yeah, everybody would jump on that, especially if you had a ton of years already paid up on Xbox Live. But yeah, when it's over, and it's over. And so now you really have to. What we were saying before about they need the content.
Yeah.
They need the content now, because there is no like people jumping on and hey, I made a new account. I got $1 for 3 months. I'm gonna go play this new game they just came out with. It's okay. It's whatever. I'm gonna play it now. And then they play it, and then they're like, all right, well, I'm canceling that, and they repeat that process over again. There's no purpose in doing that now, because if you make a new account, it's just going to cost you the same amount as it did with your previous accounts. So now, to get people to sign up, you need to make sure that you actually have content that people want to play and people want to be subscribed with and stay subscribed with. Do they have that? I mean, for some people will say, hey, I'm playing a lot of indie experiences. Playing a lot of games that like I don't have to spend money on. They may not be the biggest, most important games out there, or they may not be the hottest of the hottest, but I'm enjoying myself and this money well spent. Cool. Other people are just like, man, I signed up for first party. You told me you was going to have your first party games in here at launch, every single one of them, and so far you haven't dropped much of anything. And so, as far as I'm concerned, I'm good until you actually prove to show the value that you said you were going to have. And I think in order for it to grow, in order for it to Game Pass to achieve the goals that they want, they need to that's going to be the main way it's going to grow. It's going to grow because Starfield was excellent, Redfall was good, Avowed is great. Fable was awesome, and go on and on and on with all the games that they are coming out with that from studios they own, and they're excellent. That's what it needs to be. And until then, it's you're gonna lose some people, but I don't really think that the dollar deal going away is really going to be like, oh no, it's the end of times,
Yeah. Question for you. One more question before I go with the Forte. Wow, Forte. Over
You didn't call your brother
Me.
yourself for the
Yeah.
for the second time.
Hey, I'll take it. It's a compliment. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's the only other person in here that I would call Forte is him. Going back to you one more time before I go over to him. with the dollar deal being no, or just in general, because we haven't been on the dollar deal in forever. Once your subscription is up, the state of Game Pass right now, we'll add Call of Duty to it because we do think that this deal is going to go through, and we do know at some point Call of Duty is going to end up in there. So saying that that Activision games will be in there and everything else as it is, and Game Pass is still the $15 a month for Ultimate, do you see yourself with the staple of games that you have the potential of being in there? Do you think you would keep your subscription for $15 a month?
It wouldn't be for Call of Duty.
Well, no, not for Call of Duty, yeah, but just in general, what they have right now. And
it depends.
Games that are coming out.
Well, I don't care for Starfield. Redfall, I'm interested in Redfall, but that still remains to be seen. I don't know when Fable's coming out. I don't know when Hellblade 2 is coming out. I don't know when the Avowed's coming out. I still definitely, the reason why I haven't unsubbed from it is that my son plays a lot of games through Game Pass, and like I said earlier, he's a child account under my account, so therefore, if I unsubbed from it, he would lose access to those games. So he's still there,
Right.
But if that wasn't the case, yeah, essentially right. But like, if that wasn't the case, I probably would have unsubbed a while ago because they weren't really dropping anything that I care for anyway. The way I unsubbed from EA Play Pro and Ubisoft Plus, yeah, bye. So like, especially Ubisoft Plus, there was just absolutely nothing there. But yeah, I would have been did it, and from what they got in store going forward, it depends. Because, like I said, Starfield is probably their biggest thing that's guaranteed to come out this year or anytime soon. And I'm not into Bethesda RPGs, so that's not going to retain me now. If you're talking about Call of Duty, like Diablo 4,
let's go.
Let's say the deal, which I don't think is going to get completed before Diablo 4 comes out, but let's say it did, right? Yeah, I'm absolutely staying in there with Diablo 4, and I think so. There's more of the Blizzard content than the Call of Duty content, and I kind of feel like there's a lot of people that would feel that way. Because if you look at the casual gamer that just plays COD, just plays 2K, just plays Madden and FIFA, that person don't care about Game Pass. They don't care about the games that's in Game Pass. If they were interested in those games, they probably would have bought them. And just because they have access to them doesn't mean they understand the value of those games. Doesn't mean they're going to go install Gears of War 5 when they've never played a Gears game. They don't care about Gears.
Yeah.
So just because it's there and it's a value in there, or just because the next Forza Motorsport is going to be there at launch, they don't like simulation racers. So why do I care? So it's just like it's. I think it will. Call of Duty being in there will absolutely help. That's more value. But even the people that's doing the most like talking in this gaming community about Call of Duty and about the ABK deal, even they don't play Call of Duty. So I mean that the people who really care for it are going to just spend the money on it, and that's all they're going to play all year long. They're going to save themselves money by not subscribing to Game Pass for it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm with you. Live, same question, 2 parts. How do you think the dollar deal falling off is going to impact subscriptions with Microsoft and Game Pass? And once your 3 years of Game Pass is up, let's just say it was up today, would you continue with the service with the offerings they have in there? But talk about the subscription drop off first.
Right. I mean, Microsoft getting rid of the dollar option, right? Is increases happen, right? That's like breaking news, like water is wet type deal. Like again, it's gonna come, right? The dollar bag of chips went away, the dollar menus went away, and now Xbox Live for $1 is gone, right? So
remember the quarter bag of chips?
Hell yeah, absolutely. So yeah, but it's a situation to where I agree with Slow-Mo where it's not, it will be a decrease, but it's not significant, right? But I do think this could hurt them long term. Like the gamers today who need this will be, there's a saying that I have when it comes to gaming, right? Especially like PC gaming or gaming in general. When you have the time, you don't have the money, right? So like when you can game, you have the most amount of, hours to devote to your hobby. You don't have the finances to support that most of the time, right? So the people who are going to be affected by this, dollar, option going away are the people who really need it, right? They're really gaming. They're putting in the work to kind of get their gamer score up. They're trying to get, 100% a game. So I think that will affect the next, kind of generation of people when they get the money. This may burn to be, okay, you know what? Forget that. Because once you have the money to game, a lot of times you don't have the time to devote to it, if that makes sense. So I think it will be a small hit right now, but it could be a bigger hit in the future if they burn, some of the current generation gamers that have the time to game. When they have the money, will they still throw it at Xbox Live? So I don't think it'll be a huge hit, but it will be a hit. In regards to when this is up, if I had it, would I keep it going? I mean, it depends on what's available. At that point, I'm not looking at it as a cool option. I'm looking at it, is it a cool value, right? Because with that option being gone now, it truly has to be like someone was saying, okay, indie games, whatever, it has to be something I really want to play. It's a decision now versus kind of a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, it's $1, whatever the the lower cost would have been. So it's more of a decision now versus just something, I'll do it, whatever, it's not a big deal. So that's kind of, my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's really, really, really insightful on that one, because I do think in general that analogy about when you have with the people this would be beneficial to are the people that usually have the time to do it, but they don't have the funds to support it, because predominantly we're talking about kids at this point, the ones that they may not be going, they might be out of school for the summer and they don't have a job, and they're just sitting at home playing games, like my daughters, like Kayla, my oldest daughter doesn't have a job, but she sits at home and plays on Game Pass all day. But would she really have the ability to do that if she was working a part-time or a full-time job? And even if she's a huge gamer like that, would you be able to play as much as you want to play? I know Slow Mo talks about it all the time. We want to play games way more than we play them, but we have families and jobs that we have to adhere to.
Yeah, man.
So
yeah, like I was at your house, man. You have unopened games, like just brand new games, just lying around, your house. Like the 15-year-old you would lose his mind to have that option. You probably got, what, 15-year-olds or what, maybe 3 to 6 games a year that you can pay for yourself. Versus we just buy games because, hey, it's a good deal. It's a Humble Bundle or it's a Steam sale or it's a buy two get one.
Part of his unopened games is games he got from GameStop too.
Agreed. But hey, that's a perk of having the funds. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I get a paycheck and I get some free games. I'll take it. So it's just you value the games more when you actually have to, earn it. When you're making life decisions at GameStop, like, hey, do I really need some mac and cheese to go with this steak? You know what? I'll get the, the protection for the game and I'll get it brand new versus used. It's the people who need it, like that extra money matters. Like it matters to them. Like nobody on this call is sweating bullets over $50,
Right.
Oh yeah, that's
also I think it's kind of important to note that like when Sony stop people from being able to stack PS Plus before the conversion over with the inclusion of PS Now into PS Plus. There were people who were crying foul. Oh, that's cheap of them. How dare you? And there were people like, yeah, you don't get the freeload off of their content. And then I now I see like those same two camps have reverse positions on this. Which is funny. It's just funny how people have narratives they don't believe in.
Yeah, well, guys, great show. I really appreciate all the love and support that everybody in the chat gave. We hit up to 61 people on the show today. Always a great time. This is episode 127 of the DPS podcast. As we always do, we want to shout out our channel members, the ones that support us the most, the ones that monthly give to our ability to put the show on and, help us, feel better about everything that's going on inside the gaming community. So I have the list up for myself. I'll give Slow-Mo a chance to get it up. But for over here on my channel, we got Deflex27, we got Dragonheart Yobi, we got Stardust Acero, Ramon Terrell, Hargi Chini, Brat Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Corey Hale, Erodimus, the homie Slow-Mo Backslap, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. If you want to join and be a part of the 10% membership pool and be a part of the family, all you gotta do is hit the join button on my channel or hit it on Slow-Mo's channel. That's how you support us. You get access to the Discord and then anything that we do fun and related for the channels and stuff. So really appreciate you guys. And Slow-Mo, go ahead with yours.
Yep. Shout out to DexFlex27, Neil S, John the Don, Babe, Dragonheart Yobi, Enrique, Hargi Shani, Truth Serum, Erodimus, Ramon Terrell, Homie One Kenobi, Gaming Forte, Corey Hale, Stardust Acero, and that guy Smitty. And as Forte said, we do appreciate you guys supporting us in this way. We're gonna start doing more things. We still haven't forgot about Returnal Co-op. I'm waiting on Forte to buy the game or get the game on PC so we can do that.
I already got it.
All right, so when we doing it?
You say, I'm off this weekend.
All right, we can do it this weekend then.
Okay.
Hey, can I say something before you guys wrap it up?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, now okay, good. Well, first, Blade X, thank you. He said I did a great job today, so thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Natural, man.
Right. Again, well, I'm asking for forgiveness, not permission. Whenever I'm on, if I get invited again, I like to always kind of end my part with like just.
Well, you get an outro.
Oh well, let's go. Kind of now or later.
You'll get it in a second.
Okay, I'm shutting up.
Yeah, go ahead, Slow-Mo. Finish what you're saying.
No, we'll figure it. Yeah. We'll try to do something on the DPS channel. Like when me and Forte are gonna play something together, we'll do it on the DPS channel. We'll go live on there so that like it's instead of trying to figure out like before, even though it takes two. I think that was cool because it was like there was two different perspectives, so you could see how the game is played for both of our perspectives. But and we'll go live on for stuff we're playing together on the DPS channel going forward. So yeah, that's all that. As far as intros go ahead, K-Live. Go ahead, man.
Well, just essentially, I always like to say something positive, inspirational to anybody around me and to everyone. If you're on this podcast, just know like your life is real solid, right? You got internet connection, you have a decent computer, you have a decent, Xbox, PlayStation system. Always know there's someone who would kill to have what you have. If you're fortunate to be on this actual podcast, there's people with no internet, people with no power, people who really, really struggle, and never take for granted what you have. When it comes to your job, when it comes to your family, if you're your best friend, someone at your job, like just know if they ask you to do something, look at the opportunity for what they're giving you. If my boss tells me, hey, I need you to do this unbelievable task, I need you to do this, it's incredibly hard. I don't look at, oh my God, why is he bothering me? I look at the opportunity I have. Let me show this man or woman what I can bring to the table. This is something I can show them. When my brother invited me to this, I'm like, this is an opportunity for me to show him and Slow-Mo what I can do in a live environment, right? This is my, my friends, my family. Slow-Mo's my friend just because he's cool with my brother. So always look at the opportunity you have in front of you and not the obligation. If you have anything that's breathing around you, your dog, your cat, your wife, your son, a best friend, if there's something that depends on you, get up and kill it for them and not just yourself. So just know if you're here, internet, power, system, PC, you can listen to this, you're freaking winning, and never forget that.
Wow.
Wow, that was very eloquently said from the voice of Forte. Because it sounds like Forte says, but it couldn't have been Forte because he didn't screw up any words.
Oh my god.
And he's
I had a good role model, of Big Brother in my life.
Oh my god.
big facts,
I
big facts.
appreciate that, bro. And you'll definitely be back on whenever you get to the one thing about you are a very hardworking person. You're busy all the time. So whenever we can get you back on, definitely always welcome to come back. So I really appreciate that. And so does everybody in the chat, man. Shout out to my brother K Live. He's amazing. I mean, you know, everybody, I wish everybody had a brother or just somebody that they could grow up with, because, you know, not everybody has that ability, had the ability to have somebody have their back and be in their corner the whole time. And what us only being 3 years apart, we pretty much seen everything together. So really appreciate it. With that being said, my other brother, my man that, you know, I never waver with when it comes to anything, when it comes to this community, even though he talks a bunch. He doesn't do it as much on Twitter anymore, but he used to do it a lot. The only thing I wish he does is make a
He
video.
bring it. I don't even. My Twitter presence is super minimal.
Is drastically reduced now, but
I'm just chilling, man. I just play games and
what you got going on, where they can find you, sir.
So I actually think, well, I'm trying to think of some ways to try to like do more content. The uploaded content again it's coming along. That takes longer, but in between doing things like that, maybe dropping like smaller videos that may be my opinion on a topic here and there, or even like bringing back the Twitch channel. So like I haven't really been using Twitch like that, but I think I might decide to start using Twitch specifically for like certain games. Like if I'm playing Road Company or something like that, then I'll just go live and then on Twitch while I play that, or Fortnite or something, just whatever, right? So that people know that like if they see me live on Twitch, it's because I'm playing a particular game. But I'm trying to work through some things that could make things more consistent, so that people know what to expect from me. And when, let's say, if I come up with a schedule, they just know, oh, it's Tuesday night, Slow Mo's going to be live on doing this, or he's going to drop a video about whatever, you know. So I'm working on it. It's going to take some time, but it's getting there.
Cool. Well, you're already on my channel, Gaming Forte. Make sure you follow on Twitter. Got Destiny stuff coming on the channel if you like that. We also got the Xbox stuff, so that's always great too. So we really appreciate you guys. Episode 127 in the books. We will see you.
We got to shout out the DPS channel too.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. So
let me
go ahead.
find the link.
Why he's doing that, really appreciate you guys. 127 is in the books, but on top of that, make sure you go over to Slow Mo's channel, follow him if you're new to the channel, because that's where the podcast will be at next week. We rotate week to week, and we also stream it on the DPS, the actual DPS official channel. Whereas if you don't remember what channel it's on that week, you will always find it being restreamed or co-streamed on that channel. He just dropped the link to that channel in the chat, so make sure you go over there and follow the channel too. And with that being said, guys, we really appreciate you guys. We will see you guys next week on Thursday, 9 p.m. same time as always. And y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy the games y'all playing. Peace.